The Knights of the Zodiac shine in Marvel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26, Meet Uncle Ben. In the Osborne Group building, Gwen was sitting at the table in a daze. Her instructor, Dr. Connors, who had a disability in his right hand, came over and stood behind her and coughed lightly. Cough. What are you looking at? Gwen quickly stood up. Instructor, no, nothing. Dr. Connors smiled and stretched his neck. Is there anything you don't know about your studies? I can help you see. What is this? Seeing the formula Gwen wrote in the notebook, Dr. Connors lost his composure. This formula. Did you come up with it? Dr. Connors grabbed Gwen's shoulder with his only remaining left hand, with surprise and joy on his face. Instructor, you hurt me. Gwen gritted her teeth and broke free from Dr. Connors's hand, took a step back and apologized. I'm sorry, Instructor, this formula is not something I came up with. I just think it seems to be useful. But there is no way to verify its correctness. This formula was written by Parker in class before, crumpled into a ball and thrown away. But she didn't know to put the paper ball on Gwen's desk. She didn't think much and opened it directly. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be a decay rate algorithm formula. This is really useful. There have always been flaws in our experiments, and this may be the key to our breakthrough. Connors looked at the decay rate algorithm formula in fascination, as if he saw his long-lost unicorn arm. I'm glad I can help you, mentor, Gwen said with a smile. She still didn't know who wrote this formula and who put it on her desk. This matter must be strange. In the wrestling gym, Lizzie and Parker were counting money. The dealer had already made enough money from the people who bet on McGregor to win. Although the amount of $30,000 paid to Parker was not small, it was not a big deal. Naturally, he would not cheat the money they won in front of so many gamblers. Lizzie handed $30,000 to Parker, and then said, "This money is with you as the future activity funds of our organization." The organization's Zodiac Guardian can start. In the comic book world, Spider-Man has always been synonymous with a poor man who became famous by mutation. Since Lizzie is the leader, he will naturally not let Parker live as badly as Tobey Maguire. As for Lizzie's own living expenses, don't worry, he still has $3,000 due on in bounty to claim. On the second floor, Lizzie and Parker entered the office of the wrestling gym. Behind the desk, a middle-aged man was counting money in a mess. Seeing the two people enter the door, the middle-aged man took out a $100 bill and threw it on the table like comms. Take your reward and get out. Hey, that's not what your advertisement says. Parker stepped forward to argue, but was stopped by Lizzie. He reached out and picked up a ball of messy coins on the table, then counted out 30 from it and threw the rest back on the table. According to the regulations, these are the rewards I deserve. Are you trying to cause trouble on my turf? The middle-aged man slammed the table fiercely. Someone come. Bang. The office door was pushed open from the outside, and a man with dyed yellow hair walked in and threw the bag in his hand directly on the table. Put all the money in. Robbery. I asked the security guard to come. Why is there a robber here? The middle-aged man was stunned for a moment. Who the hell are you? The yellow-haired man hit the middle-aged man's head with the butt of the gun, knocking him staggering. I said robbery. Do you understand, idiot? The middle-aged man immediately became scared, and the momentum of giving alms to Lizzie just now completely disappeared, and he obediently began to put money into the bag. The yellow-haired man turned his head proudly and saw the money in Lizzie's hand at a glance. Boy, give the money in your hand, quickly. The yellow-haired man turned the gun to Lizzie, trying to force him to hand over the money. As soon as the muzzle of the gun turned, Lizzie grabbed it and raised it. Huang Mao suddenly felt as if his hand was clamped by a vice, and the pain was excruciating. Ah, Lizzie snorted. I said, I will never let anyone point an arrow at my head again, let alone a gun. Huang Mao's appearance made Lizzie feel a little confused. Obviously, the Parker next to him was the Garfield version in The Amazing Spider-Man, but how could the Tobey version of the murderer appear here? Looking back, Lizzie asked Parker, Peter, How are you going to get back later? Parker said, I told my uncle that I'm going to the New York City Library, and he will come to pick me up later. Lizzie asked with a trembling mouth, Peter, have you ever heard of a saying, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility, right? Parker shrugged. I said Uncle Ben couldn't come up with such a profound saying by himself. Sure enough, you have heard of it too. Did you read it in a book? Sure enough, the plot has come to this point. This robber will kill Parker's uncle for robbing a car after going out. If he is killed now, Uncle Ben will naturally be fine. But if the yellow-haired robber is killed here, he will not kill Uncle Ben, and he will not be guilty. Is it really okay to kill him when he is not guilty? But if he is not killed, I feel uncomfortable. This is so tangled. Stop. Put down the gun. The security guard outside the door finally rushed in, raised his pistol and pointed it over here, and the muzzle of the gun moved back and forth between Lizzie and the yellow-haired robber, not knowing who to shoot. Lizzie saw this and immediately had an idea in his mind. He shouted, be careful, and then pulled the yellow-haired man's hand and pointed the gun at the security guard. The security guard saw that he had become the target of attack, and he pulled the trigger without thinking. Bang! After the gunshot, the yellow-haired man fell down with a look of shock, and there was a bloody hole between his eyebrows. Lizzie let go of his hand and looked at the security brother with gratitude. Thank you, Uncle. Hi, you are a good man. The security guard wiped the cold sweat on his head in shock, and opened his mouth as if to say to others or to cheer himself up, I was just defending myself. He pointed a gun at me, so I shot. As for his hit rate of missing the target when shooting at a fixed target of 10 meters, how could he hit the robber's forehead with one shot? He had no time to think about it. Someone died, and the office suddenly fell into chaos. Lizzie and Parker took advantage of the chaos to leave. When they got outside, it was already dark. Parker took Lizzie to the roadside and found Ben Parker waiting there. This was the first time Lizzie met Spider-Man's life mentor, Uncle Ben, who had great abilities and great responsibilities. He looked like a typical good guy, spoke in a gentle and soothing tone, which made people feel friendly. Ben Parker was also very happy to see Lizzie. You must be Lizzie, right? I've heard that Parker has a boyfriend at school, and it turns out to be you. Hee. Uncle Ben, your boyfriend is quite interesting. Lizzie sat in the back seat and said, the trunk almost broke the car's shock absorber spring. Haha, just kidding. Ben Parker started the old car at a snail's pace. This broken car is just like my old man. I've been using it all the time as I get older. Lizzie smiled. Uncle Ben, I'll introduce you to Lao Wang, who gets medicine in Chinatown, and ask him to prescribe you some health-preserving medicine. I guarantee that you'll be full of energy after drinking it. Ben Parker rolled his eyes. Forget it. I want to live a few more days. Lizzie spread his hands. Congratulations. Your wish has come true. Please support us. Thank you. Chapter 27. Gossip. After Uncle Ben knew about Lizzie's situation, he warmly invited him to stay at his home temporarily. Lizzie did not refuse and gladly accepted. Because of the car, they returned to Parker's house very late. Parker's Aunt May Parker welcomed them into the house, and after finding out the situation, she warmly welcomed Lizzie. I was wondering why you came back so late. It turned out to be because of the car. Go wash your hands first. I'll make you dinner. Tonight I made my best meat rolls. Aunt May went to the kitchen after she finished speaking. After Parker took Lizzie to wash his hands, the two sat down at the dining table next to Uncle Ben. The news was broadcasting on the TV next to them. The news nowadays is too exaggerated. Uncle Ben pressed the remote control to change the channel. Oh, look at this. On TV, a police officer in police uniform was speaking to reporters. We have made some preliminary progress on the vicious incident that happened in the abandoned factory last night. The murderer is a man with the Firebird tattoo on his back. A photo taken from a distance was inserted on the screen. In the photo, there was a person's back, wearing black armor-like clothes on his lower body. On his back, there was a Firebird tattoo, which was lifelike and seemed to be glowing. According to insiders, this person's name is Binyu Bird Huiyuo, suspected of murdering 136 people. We have issued an arrest warrant for Binyu Bird Huiyuo in accordance with the law. We hope that the general public will actively provide clues The last picture stayed on the glowing Firebird tattoo. Who are you? Parker covered his mouth with his hands, staring blankly at Lazian, feeling a little unhappy. He worked very late last night to design a spider silk launcher, but he overslept today. He called Lazian as soon as he woke up in the morning, and didn't come to the internet to read the news. 136 lives. This Bayou is really cruel. Aunt Mai, who was passing by, covered her mouth, obviously a little bit reluctant. Uncle Ben also sighed. 136 people. Although these people are all members of the gang who have committed many crimes, what Huiyuo did is still a bit too much. He has no right to do so. Fortunately, this is other people's business. After a brief chat, they put it aside. After a happy dinner, Parker took Lazian back to his room. He closed the door and plugged it with a homemade hydraulic device. Then Parker pressed Lazian on the bed. Is what the news said true? Is that person really you? Did you really kill so many people? Lazian did not answer, but asked, do you think they don't deserve to die? But, Parker said for a long time but couldn't say anything. Although he had thought about being a city guardian with Lazian, he was still a 17-year-old child after all, and was different from Lazian, who was trained by the Holy Suitcase to kill decisively. For Parker, killing people was already unimaginable, not to mention killing 136 people at once. But what troubled Parker was that he didn't seem to completely deny Lazian's killing behavior in his heart. Instead, for some reason, there seemed to be a trace of regret in the deepest part of his heart that he didn't go together. That was 136 lives, and also 136 executioners. Sitting on the floor dejectedly, Parker held his head. I don't know how to say it. That, after all, that was more than 100 lives. Lazian sighed. If I say that I just beat them into disabilities at that time, and didn't take their lives. What? Parker jumped up from the floor all of a sudden. You said you didn't kill them, but why did the news say? Could it be that the archer? Lazian shook his head. It shouldn't be him. He was beaten half to death by me at that time and had no ability to do these, but his companions may not be. But I can't say for sure. Anyway, I will take the blame. Damn it. Why didn't I find the person who took the photo at that time? Lazian didn't lie. He actually held back at that time, but he didn't know what happened later. It's hard to say whether it was done by the people from S.H.I.E.L.D. or other gangs who took advantage of the fire. Hearing that Lazian didn't kill anyone, Parker finally felt relieved. To be honest, if Lezhang really became a murderer, Parker really didn't know how to get along with Lazian. While Parker was relieved, he thought of another question. But now the police have pinned this case on you. If you appear as Benyu Bird Huihuo in the future, I'm afraid you will get into big trouble. But for those criminals, it will be more deterrent, right? Lazian's question left Parker speechless. This is indeed a two-sided issue. However, Lazian only said this. When he goes out with Parker's Spider-Man in the future, he will naturally not use the identity of Benyu Bird Huihuo. Otherwise, it will not only be a trouble, but also easily ruin Spider-Man's reputation as a good neighbor in New York. Don't worry, aren't you going to make a battle suit? Embroider two moon-shaped logos on my chest, with the crescent bending outwards. From now on, my name will be Mr. Moon. Parker was a little confused. Mr. Moon? The slogan won't be representing the moon to destroy you. That seems a bit sissy. Lazian shook her head. When did you read the Japanese girl comics? What's representing the moon? Don't translate it as Mr. Moon, just transliterate it as Mr. Mew. Does it have any special meaning? No, I just like it. Putting aside the code name, Parker reached out and picked up the holy cloth box on the ground. What's the matter with this box? Why are you carrying a copper box with you? It must weigh almost a ton. No wonder Uncle Ben drove like a snail just now. Lazian pointed at the holy cloth box. Feel it and see if there is anything special. After Parker did as he was told, he felt that his IQ had been fooled. This is just an ordinary copper box. Is there anything special about it? Sure enough, Lazian touched her chin and said to herself, Clarice didn't feel anything when she moved the box. It seems that this box should only be used by me. Then the question is, why is there a holy cloth box in the Marvel world? And why can only I use it? Grandma Joan said that the holy cloth box was picked up by the previous me myself, so. Is it I who picked up the holy cloth box, or is it the holy cloth box that picked up me? What are you talking about? Parker's super spider hearing didn't understand. It's okay, it was just an illusion. After a moment of silence, Parker suddenly remembered something. By the way, don't you have a Firebird tattoo in the photo on TV? When did you get it? How come I don't know? Do you want to see it? Lazai raised his eyebrows. Parker nodded. Of course I do. It looks super cool on TV. Lazai spread his hands. If you don't want the house to be set on fire, go to bed quickly. Find a place where no one is tomorrow, and I will demonstrate it to you again. Parker rolled his eyes. Then what did you say just now? Thank you for the reward. Thank you 20170213174339425 for the 2000 reward. Thank you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28, The Birth of a Hero. I have to admit that Parker is a genius, at least for Lazai who grew up with an exam-oriented education. He is a genius. By installing a piece of cable the size of a fingernail into a small device like a watch, he invented the black technology spider silk launcher. Lazai has been watching from the beginning, and until he saw Parker successfully test the spider silk launcher, he still couldn't figure out how this thing works. The working principle of my device is… Stop, don't tell me the working principle. I won't understand it even if you tell me. Parker excitedly wanted to share his joy after his success, but was interrupted by Lazai mercilessly. Don't explain things that I can't understand. With the spider silk launcher, the two came to the top of a tall building. Parker jumped down excitedly. Lazai covered his eyes and didn't dare to look. He was really afraid that his little wings would flap and Parker would be blown away. Fortunately, Parker played at the normal level of Spider-Man. After swinging a few times between the buildings, he jumped back safely. Don't let me run into the archer again, Hawkeye, right? Otherwise, I'll smear him in the face. Parker excitedly gestured with the spider silk launcher on his wrist. By the way, Zion, do you want to try it? It's fun. Lazai waved his hand to reject Parker's kindness. He didn't have the ability of a spider to absorb things, and he might lose the spider silk when he was swinging in the air. As they were talking and preparing to leave, suddenly there was a sound of sirens from below. The two looked over and saw 3 or 4 police cars whizzing by. In front of the police cars, a black SUV was running in the opposite direction. On the rooftop, Lazai patted Parker on the shoulder and encouraged him. Young man, go ahead. The responsibility of maintaining world peace is now in your hands. Parker nodded vigorously, put on a simple headgear, and then covered his eyes with sunglasses. What are you going to do? Do you want me to take you down? Lazai shook his head. Have you ever seen a superhero appear on stage and be sent down by someone swinging on a swing? That's too low. I refuse. I have my own way. You go first. But Parker wanted to say more, but was kicked out of the building by Lazai. Go. If you keep talking, the criminal will not be able to escape. After kicking Parker away, Lazai looked at the direction of the off-road vehicle and reached out of his backpack to take out a flying squirrel suit for sliding. This was the speed-dropping equipment he prepared to conceal his identity. If it was at night, he could directly open the black wings, but during the day, he was afraid that someone would take a picture of him and associate him with the identity of the new bird Huiyuo. So he could only use this low-level method for the time being. We should seize the time to comprehend the small universe. Saint Seiya can jump off a building and fly into the sky as if it were a game. Then we won't have to worry so much. The people in the off-road vehicle are real gangsters. They have just robbed a gold shop. More than a dozen employees and security guards in the shop were either killed or injured. As gangsters, they not only drive wildly, but also wildly. One guy directly popped his head out of the sunroof of the off-road vehicle, holding a submachine gun and shooting wildly at the police car behind him. The police car moved in a serpentine manner, flexibly avoiding the shooting of bullets. but the vehicles and pedestrians on the road were unlucky. The number of cars and pedestrians hit by stray bullets began to rise straight up, and soon reached double digits. The police in the police car are now very anxious. Being a policeman is a high-risk job, especially in New York. Being a policeman in New York in the Marvel world is simply a hell-level difficulty from the beginning. Dealing with armed gangsters is just the beginning. Facing the shooting of the gangsters, the police also fought back and kept trying to shoot with pistols, but their firepower was far inferior to that of the gangsters. During the pursuit, a police car failed to dodge and the driver was hit directly. It turned in the opposite direction and crashed into a coffee shop next to it. Seeing the police car rushing over, the customers in the coffee shop panicked instantly. The coffee shop was full of people at this time. Once the police car went in, it would definitely be a super god. A large white net flew from a distance and covered the police car. At the critical moment, Spider-Man fell from the sky and used his powerful strength to drag the police car. "Hey, is the coffee delicious?" Parker swung on the swing and flashed past the French window of the coffee shop, causing a burst of exclamations inside. Parker's speed of swinging in the air was obviously much faster than that of the police car. After a while, he flew over the black SUV. The gangster looked at Parker, who was whistling, and was stunned for a moment, and the gun in his hand stopped shooting. Parker seized the opportunity and smeared the gangster's face with a spider silk. As the swing swung, the gangster was pulled out of the SUV by the spider silk and hung on the street lamp after a high-altitude descent. A police car stopped to control the gangster, and the remaining police car continued to chase and call for support. After defeating the enemy with one blow, Parker felt that he had hit his own rhythm. After turning in midair, he swung towards the SUV again. Although the gangster in the car didn't know the identity of the guy swinging on the swing, it was obvious that this guy was looking for trouble. A bald man held a gun and stretched his body out of the window, shooting a volley of bullets at Parker in the air. Dense bullets hit Parker, and his forward route was blocked. In order to avoid it, he had to dodge to the side. After the SUV dodged Parker's charge, it turned directly and rushed out of the downtown area. Going forward, there were not many high-rise buildings and few vehicles. With the help of the submachine gun, it was difficult for the police car to catch up safely, and the SUV was likely to escape. The bald man yelled "fuck" fiercely at the sky, and gave a middle finger to Parker, who was squatting on a low building, and stopped chasing. Suddenly, a black shadow slammed down, and the SUV was knocked over and almost flipped over. Before the bald man could figure out the situation, he felt that his middle finger against the sky was about to break, and someone grabbed his finger and pulled him out of the car. Then the person waved his hand and threw the bald man onto the road in front of the car. Bang! The bald man was hit directly by the SUV that didn't have time to brake, and blood covered the windshield. Then the SUV crashed into the landscape stone on the side of the road because of unclear vision. The driver flew out of the window and gave the landscape stone a warm hug with glass fragments. Before the collision, Lazia jumped out of the car, rolled to relieve the impact, and got up and disappeared into the building on the side of the road. The police car finally caught up. Looking at the scrapped SUV and the two gangsters who were smashed into mud, the leading police officer took out the walkie-talkie. "All the criminals have been arrested. Please go to 20 location to meet up. Also, send an ambulance." The police car next to him whispered, "Sir, what should we do with those two people? How should we write them in the report? We don't even know their names. We can't call one Spider-Man and the other Flying Mouse." The officer thought for a moment and said, "Spider-Man is fine, but Flying Mouse sounds a bit ugly. Let's call the other one Batman first. Thank you Sky Stardust for the reward. Thank you all for your recommendation votes. Thank you." Chapter 29 Temporary Station. The initial battle was a success. The three armed robbers were punished, one was arrested, and the other two died on the spot. Someone uploaded the video of the robbers' capture to the internet. Although Spider-Man has not yet made the headlines, he has become famous because the video only captured Spider-Man, who saved the customers of the cafe and captured a robber alive, and at the end, Lazia jumped on the SUV to deliver lunch to the other two robbers because it was too far away. So Spider-Man's name began to spread in a small range and was sought after by some young people. It was obviously done by two people, but the fame was given to Parker alone, which made him a little embarrassed. Fortunately, Lazia didn't care about it. Back home, Parker began to study the battlesuit with great interest. As a sultry man who has been suppressed for more than 10 years, Parker has a strong desire to make the whole city remember him. To achieve this wish, a set of cool and eye-catching battlesuits is essential, and the aesthetics and values must be correct. If you do a shameful play like Kick-Ass and Red Tornado, you don't even need to go out, you will be ugly to death. As for Lazia, he sat cross-legged on the Holy Clothes box in a daze. He had a hunch that the Holy Clothes box would be opened soon, and he would soon get his own Holy Clothes, but he didn't know what would come out of this white box. Judging from the box, it must be the bronze Holy Clothes, but how to open it? Zion, look at this. Parker suddenly pointed at the computer and interrupted Lazia's thinking. A news popped up on the screen. The Afghan troops suffered a terrorist attack that morning. Tony Stark, chairman of Stark Industries, disappeared in the attack and it is not certain whether he died. No terrorist organization has claimed responsibility for the terrorist attack. Tony Stark was arrested. Lazia knew that this was a transformation journey that Mr. Zodiac had to go through in his life. 3 months later, he would return as a king, and Iron Man, who led the trend of the Marvel Universe, would appear. In 3 months, who knows what will happen to Stark Industries without Tony Stark. Of course, this is a big deal for Stark Industries and the entire Marvel Universe, but for Lazia, who is running wildly on the side and hidden plots, this is nothing, at most. Oh, that annoying guy is finally going to eat dirt in the caves of Afghanistan, which is a good thing. The orphanage was not greatly affected. In order to stabilize the emotions of shareholders and the stability of the market, Stark Industries activated many emergency plans, including increasing social assistance. When Lazia returned to the orphanage, Grandma Joan kept lamenting that the children were finally well fed and clothed, and later even mentioned that she wanted him to move back. Lazia did not leave the orphanage voluntarily. To be honest, he was driven out. As a person with a temper, Lazia had agreed to leave with Tony Stark, so of course he would not go back so unclearly when the other party disappeared. Even in Tony Stark's heart, he might have long forgotten such an insignificant person like him. Tony Stark is missing, and the happiest person is Clarice. Since Lazia was driven away, Tony has been labeled a bad guy in Clarice's mind, and no matter how much money he donated to the orphanage, it will not help. Hearing that Lazia was unwilling to return to the orphanage, Clarice became upset and said that if Lazia did not go back, she would move out with her. Lazia had to persuade her to stop thinking about it. Before leaving, Clarice's resentful eyes made Lazia almost unable to help but agree to him. However, they also agreed that after Lazia graduated and had a stable job in residence, he would take Clarice out of the orphanage and give her a real home. After staying at Parker's house for another night, Lazia rented a house outside, an independent 2-story building. Because it was not in the downtown area, the rent was not too expensive, and the money he earned from the wrestling gym was enough to pay for it. In addition to Lazia's residence, this place also temporarily served as the office of the Zodiac Guardian. Parker moved all sensitive items that could easily expose himself, including the research and development equipment and supplies of his spider silk launcher. At night, Lazia and Parker tried on the newly made battlesuits in this small building. In an underground garage in the city, boxes with the words Stark Industries printed on them were placed in a row, and several men stood on one side. 2 of them were the Russian mafia leaders, the Lankov brothers, who were taken away by the Black Widow. Opposite them, a man in a black suit said in a deep voice, "I heard that you were beaten to a pulp by a guy named Benyu Birdhuyu, and lost a large number of manpower in weapons and equipment?" Anatoly said angrily, "That guy has bulletproof equipment and can fly. He is very fast and powerful. We were caught off guard." "Really?" The man in the black suit did not comment. "I have heard about some things. Do you know who the archer guy who helped you escape is?" Anatoly looked at his brother Vladimir, and Vladimir shook his head. I don't know his specific identity. He was hired by the Rushman and Francis law firm to protect the safety of lawyer Rushman. The man in a black suit nodded. I have checked the information of this Rushman and Francis firm. On the surface, there is no problem, but to be able to hire such a powerful person, the background must be complicated. You must be careful when you come into contact with it. Also, are there any clues about that Bennu bird Huiyuo? Vladimir shook his head. We only found out that he appeared twice. The first time was when he disrupted the actions of one of our teams, and the second time was at the abandoned factory. As for the performance of his equipment, we only have some simple analysis for now. His speed and strength should come from that armor-like equipment. The defense of that equipment can probably withstand continuous shooting from small-caliber rifle bullets, but its defense against grenades is weaker. Looking at the boxes around him, Vladimir continued, with these weapons, if we meet him again, it won't be difficult to take him down. The man in black smiled. Then I'll wait for your good news. Don't make me wait too long. With that, the man in black turned and left. Next to him, a man with long hair parted in the middle, who was as quiet as a dog, followed behind him like a shadow. After the two men left, Anatoly asked Vladimir, brother, this man has a strange background. Do we really want to help him? Vladimir pointed to the boxes piled up next to him and said, just because he can get so many weapons, we have no room to say number. If he can give these things to us, he can also give them to others. If we brothers want to gain a foothold in New York, we can only accept their conditions. Chapter 30 Sheriff George Parker designed the battle suit completely according to his inherent ideas. The slim red and blue tights, plus the thin waist and long legs spider logo. At first glance, it is the embodiment of beauty and wisdom, heroism and chivalry. Lazai has always had a question in her mind. Wearing such a slim tights, if she accidentally gets erect, won't she feel embarrassed? And Europeans and Americans are notoriously stupid. You know. Fortunately, Parker seems to have thought about this problem. He sewed a slightly harder leather material on the unspeakable parts in advance, and took stabilization measures to reduce the embarrassment when such a situation occurs. This kid is really thoughtful. The style of Mr. Mew's battlesuit for Lazai is completely borrowed from Spider-Man's battlesuit, but the color matching is slightly different. Lazai's battlesuit is white, with two golden crescent-shaped patterns on the chest that bend outwards. The shoulders and limbs are spliced with gold. It looks a bit like the tights in Saint Seiya Omega. Imagine changing the blue part of Spider-Man's suit to white and the red part to yellow. Wearing it, it would be extremely embarrassing. Am I the legendary yellow and white thing? Lazai complained wildly in her heart. She couldn't wear such a suit without a mask. Then she looked at Parker, who was dressed neatly next to her. Is it really okay for the two of them to go out wearing almost the same suit? Will they be misunderstood? After all, being gay is still very popular in the United States. Lazai looked at the table. There were still 2 steamed buns left over from lunch. She wondered if it would be better if she turned into a cross-dresser. How about it? Handsome, right? Parker was posing in an outdated flying pose next to her. In the end, he felt unsatisfied and rushed to the ceiling with the spider silk, and the whole person fell over. This is much more majestic. It looks like we are a team now. When we have new companions in the future, I will make them other color combinations. I think this can become our uniforms. Lazai suppressed the urge to complain. If we form 3 more people, we can cosplay the dinosaur team. You are the Tyrannosaurus Rex, I am the saber-toothed tiger, and the pterodactyl must be a woman. Cross-dressing is absolutely not accepted. Or it would be nice to form 5 people to cosplay each other's dolls. No matter what he thought in his heart, Lazai would not reject Parker's enthusiasm. After all, he made it overnight, and he would not be able to wear it for a few days. When the holy clothes are in place, Lazai will not have to go through so much trouble. Squeak, squeak. Just as the two were ready, Parker's homemade radio intercom rang. He hacked into the intercom channel of the police system and could easily receive news of nearby police dispatches. Here comes the job. After listening to the content of the intercom, Parker excitedly came down from the ceiling, stretched his hand out of the window, and a spider silk flew out and stuck to the street lamp on the side of the road, and then he flew out. Come on, can't you just go through the door? You have to go through the window. Are you a person with the words I in your name? No matter if you are from the east or the west, you won't go through the door. Isaiah said so, but he still followed him. His body turned into a shadow, and jumped out of the window. After 2 days of stimulation from the small universe, Isaiah's physical strength has exceeded 500 kilograms, and his short-distance sprint speed has increased to about 50 meters per second. If he runs long distances, he can maintain a speed of more than 30 meters per second for several hours without rest. If he uses the natural energy to assist, his strength and speed can basically be increased by half, and if he wears the ink clothes, this data can almost double. However, in the short term, Isaiah is not going to let the new bird Huiyuo appear on the scene, especially when he is with Spider-Man. Mr. Mu's identity is pretty good. With a strength of more than 700 kilograms and a sprint speed of more than 70 meters per second, it is enough to deal with most criminals. The place where the accident happened is about 20 kilometers away from the small building. When Isaiah rushed to the scene at a speed of 70 miles per hour, the battle was almost over. No matter how fast you run on the ground, you can't be faster than Parker, who is swinging in the air. Several armed men holding hostages used heavy weapons to suppress the policemen who only had pistols and dared not show their heads. As a result, Parker descended from the sky and covered the villain, who was holding a Gatling gun and laughing wildly with a bunch of spider silk. The follow-up things were simple. However, for some reason, the police did not fully welcome the arrival of Spider-Man. On the high-rise building nearby, after the police sniper arrived, the muzzle of the gun was directly aimed at the head of Spider-Man, who was having fun in the enemy camp. Seeing that the situation had been controlled, the middle-aged police officer stood up and shouted with a megaphone, "Listen, people inside, you have been surrounded. In view of your heroic behavior, we will not use coercive measures for the time being, but I hope you can cooperate with our police. Now, please take off your hood and raise your hands. I will ensure your personal safety in the name of the 19th District Sheriff." The 19th District Sheriff was Gwen's father, George Stacy. This is a person who can't tolerate any sand in his eyes. In his concept, it is natural for the police to catch thieves. A man in funny costumes and masks who ran out to do some inexplicable things became a vigilante admired by everyone. However, those policemen who worked hard for more than 10 hours every day and were ready to fight the gangsters day and night became his background and the laughingstock in the eyes of everyone. This is unfair to the police. The police have limited abilities, but they did their own things and tried their best. This masked vigilante may have outstanding abilities, but his existence itself is a threat to society. Because if he does something bad without being restricted by the law, the destructive power may exceed that of 100 armed gangsters. Therefore, George must take off his mask. Only when his identity and social relations are exposed to the public, his behavior will be restricted and he will be more respectful of the law. For a public official with a family, this idea is not wrong. But not everyone is Tony Stark, who can have the wisdom, financial resources and weapons and equipment that are enough to make the government jealous, and can do whatever he wants. For a commoner like Parker, if his identity is really revealed, the only fate is to become a dog in the hands of the government. At that time, he will no longer face criminals in the city, but battles between countries, or even between factions. Just like what the resurrected captain did, countless things make you helpless. This contradiction exists objectively, and Parker can't solve it and won't solve it. What he needs to do is to escape before his identity is revealed. Parker just wanted to get up, and a strong sense of crisis hit him. The spider sense once again warned him that this was a threat from hundreds of meters away in the air. Sniper. The sniper, who failed to play any role in the attack on the gangsters, pointed his gun at the hero's head. This is so ironic. Isaiah's voice sounded behind the sniper. Chapter 31 Memory Appearance. In just a moment, Parker's spider-sensing alarm was lifted. He looked up and saw a yellow-white thing on the roof making an OK sign with him. After receiving the signal, Parker shot out 2 spider silk threads from both hands, and stretched his body backward to stretch the spider silk threads to the limit. "Mr. Sheriff, you may be a good person, but I'm afraid I can't agree to your request. Say hello to your family for me." After Parker shouted, he loosened his hands and flew into the air. In the air, he stretched out his hand and another spider silk thread was shot to the roof of the next building. He turned around and quickly disappeared into the night. The police on the ground may not have time, or they may not want to. Anyway, no one fired. The sniper who had already greeted was also silent, which made Sheriff George feel a little strange. Before he could ask questions, a strange voice came from the headset. "Good evening, officers," Laziah said in a low voice. "Mr. Sniper just fainted. Don't be nervous. We admire your professional attitude, but we are the guardians of this city just like you, so please don't treat us as criminals, and don't point the guns that should be pointed at criminals at us. We have our own persistence and principles. Please don't artificially push us to the opposite side of the law. Finally, I will answer a question for you. My name is Mr. Mew, and I am Mr. Spider-Man's companion. Maybe some of you have seen me before, or maybe not. But it doesn't matter, we will meet again. Finally, I wish you all a pleasant night. Goodbye." The voice in the headset disappeared, and Sheriff George slammed the loudspeaker in his hand. These lawless guys actually said that they should not be pushed to the opposite side of the law. This is a blatant provocation to the police system. I must find these guys and make public their most feared privacy. No one can hide in the shadow of the law and act arbitrarily. More than 10 minutes later, Parker and Laziah returned to the small building one after another. After taking off the mask, Parker felt a little lost. The excitement after a heroic journey was wiped out by a few words from Sheriff George. "Are we doing it wrong?" After Laziah came back, he met a Spider-Man who began to doubt his life. After thinking for a while, Laziah said, "Are you happy when you do these things?" Parker nodded. He enjoyed the feeling of being a hero, and the mask made him more relaxed than usual, just like netizens can become a big shot in front of the computer. Under the mask, he was more talkative and more flamboyant than usual. "Then what you do is to save other people's lives, whether it is the police or the civilians who are affected. For them, this is a good thing, right?" Parker nodded again. "If nothing else, just say that those people in the coffee shop yesterday should be grateful to him in their hearts. You are happily doing something good for the citizens. What's wrong with that?" "But we may have violated the law," Parker said uncertainly. "The sheriff's attitude towards us is not friendly." Laziah spread his hands. "Which law stipulates that you can't wear a mask when going out?" "The sheriff just has bubbles in his head. Don't worry about him. He is just an isolated incident. Most police officers will still stand on your side. You helped them solve the problem and didn't charge any fees. You are more conscientious than Langtium's trial school." What else can they say? "But, don't say buts. Tomorrow is Monday and we still have to go to school. Go back and take a shower and go to bed, hero." After fooling Parker away, Laziah fell into a brief silence. Spider-Man Parker's character is too upright and conservative. Like all positive superheroes, when facing criminals, the first thing he thinks of is to subdue them and make them accept legal sanctions, instead of using reasonable operations like Laziah to make the criminals die on the spot. Just like the two people in the SUV who were pulled out of the window by Laziah, if they were thrown aside, they would not be hit by the car, and the glass would not be broken if they were not hit, and the driver would not crash because he could not see the road clearly. From the moment Laziah fell on the roof of the car, he had already thought of how they would die. Strictly speaking, Laziah seems to be on the road to becoming an anti-hero, and there are some differences in concept with orthodox superheroes such as Spider-Man. It may not be a big deal now, but in the future, it is hard to guarantee that it will not evolve into the ending of Batman vs. Superman. To be honest, Laziah does not want to stand on the opposite side of Parker one day, but it is too early to think about those things now. People will change, and no one can predict what will happen in the future. After shaking his head to clear these random thoughts from his mind, Laziah took off his shirt and sat cross-legged on the holy clothes box, and started his journey of self-abuse again. The feeling of the holy cloth coming out was getting stronger and stronger. Laziah had to race against time to push his body to the limit, so as to avoid the holy cloth coming out, but he did not have the power of the small universe to activate it, and the embarrassment of wearing it became a heavy burden. Closing his eyes, Laziah decided to play a big game. The small universe of the holy cloth box filled Laziah's body again, and the unspeakable pain was added to his body. Zodiac clenched his teeth tightly and tried his best to suppress the urge to howl. At the same time, red flames began to rise on his body. On his smooth back, the golden and red Suzaku tattoo slowly emerged, and there seemed to be a sharp phoenix cry in the air. With the blessing of natural energy, Zodiac's physical strength suddenly rose to a higher level, and when the Holy Cloth Box Small Universe discovered this phenomenon, it did not hesitate to increase the intensity of stimulation. That sour and refreshing feeling was like being pounded by a big cock when an egg was broken. I have never felt it, and I really don't know how to describe it. I don't know how long it took, maybe a century, maybe a cosmic year. When the small universe of the holy suitcase retreated, Zodiac's body had basically lost consciousness, and his will was on the verge of collapse. Somehow, his consciousness seemed to come to a wide training ground, surrounded by some young people dressed in simple and shabby clothes, who were doing painful training. Zodiac himself seemed to have become one of them. Beside him were two teenagers who should be about the same age. Their faces were not clear, but their heights were about the same. "We must train hard and strive to become a real bronze saint as soon as possible," the black-haired boy said with vigor. Sure enough, when I dream, everyone speaks Chinese. The picture flashed, and Zodiac woke up. He opened his eyes and found himself in the attic of a small building. Looking out from the skylight, the sky was full of stars. Those things just now should be the memories of the holy clothes. So the one I possessed is the original owner of the holy clothes? Then who is the black-haired boy who spoke? "Thank you for the 2,000 reward from exclamation mark. Thank you for your recommendation votes. Friends who like it, please support and encourage me. Thank you." Chapter 32 A New Day. The moon sets, the stars sink, the east is bright, and it is a new day. Zodiac, who had stayed in the attic all night, opened his eyes, rubbed his aching shoulders and sat up with difficulty. The result of using the natural energy to work hard was that the whole body was completely overloaded. Although he practiced the all-seeing for the most of the night, he still could not completely repair his body. In the end, he made himself look exhausted and about to ascend. Parker, who was waiting by the school locker as usual, patted Zodiac's shoulder with concern after seeing him arrive. "Hey, Zodiac, why are you here so late? Didn't you sleep well last night?" Hiss. Zodiac rubbed his shoulder that was numb from being patted. He felt that his body was very sensitive now. It hurt a lot if he was touched casually, not to mention Parker's hand strength. "I fell asleep in the attic without a blanket last night. I seem to have caught a cold and feel uncomfortable all over." Zodiac made up an excuse and walked towards the classroom. "You caught a cold? Do you want to go to the hospital? If you don't take a cold seriously, it may cause a serious illness if it is delayed for a long time." Gwen's voice sounded behind them. Zodiac and Parker turned around and greeted Gwen with a smile. Since the two of them changed, greeting goddesses has become commonplace. Jessica Campbell followed Gwen and greeted the two timidly, but her eyes were focused on Parker most of the time. With Parker's super reaction ability, he naturally discovered this. He didn't have much impression of Jessica before, so naturally he didn't have any good feelings for her. But after vaguely seeing that Gwen was interested in Zodiac, he changed his mind and began to pay attention to other girls. And Jessica, who was as timid as a deer, just walked into his eyes. Facts have proved that as long as the girl is not too ugly, the success rate of a girl chasing a boy is still very high. It's easy for a girl to chase a boy. Thinking of this, Parker raised his lips and showed a simple and honest smile that he thought was handsome. "Hi, Jessica." "Hi, BBB." Jessica was suddenly greeted by Parker, and she was so excited that she couldn't speak. Zodiac shrugged, left the two people who were talking nonsense, and continued to wander towards the classroom. Gwen followed Zodiac. "Don't you really need to go to the hospital? The school clinic is also fine." Zodiac raised his lips and showed a simple and handsome smile that he thought was simple and honest. "Don't worry, this is not viral. It won't be contagious." Gwen immediately lost interest in continuing the conversation. "What I care about is the problem of infection." In the classroom, the classmates were gathered in groups to look at their mobile phones, and from time to time someone exclaimed. When passing by, Zodiac glanced at the screen, which was a video of Spider-Man fighting the gangsters and saving the customers of the cafe. Discussions about Spider-Man were everywhere, except for a few eccentric people who were mentally dark, had no childhood, no friends, and thought that the whole world should revolve around them or that it was the whole world's fault. Most people expressed appreciation and admiration for Spider-Man's courageous behavior. Among them, Thompson's voice was the loudest. "This guy has unilaterally declared himself to be Spider-Man's #1 die-hard fan. As long as Spider-Man agrees, he will never frown when he meets P in person." Lazia looked back at Parker, who walked to the door, with a playful look on his face. Parker's mouth twitched unconsciously. Thompson's confession was too sudden, which made him a little unacceptable. When Thompson saw a few people coming in, he hurried to Gwen and said, "Gwen, do you have any inside information about Spider-Man? Did Uncle George tell you anything?" Gwen didn't want to say it, but she couldn't resist the curiosity of her classmates, and she did have some things that others didn't know that she wanted to show off. For example, Spider-Man wasn't the only one who came to help. There was another person who helped the police catch the robbers. And, last night, they helped the police subdue a group of armed criminals who were holding hostages. As expected of the sheriff's daughter, the news was more explosive than the other, and the classmates were all shocked. "Oh my God, Spider-Man is not the only superhero, but a gang. Then who is the other person? What's his name? Is he more powerful than Spider-Man?" "The name hasn't been revealed, and no one has taken a photo. I guess he's more powerful than Spider-Man. I have a bold idea. Don't waste time, tell me." "Hey, do you think this other person is Benyu Bird Huiyu?" Lazia, who was picking his nose, almost broke his nose. "This idea is really bold. It would be a waste of your blessed mouth if I didn't break your eyes and sent you to the street to tell fortunes." Fortunately, not everyone is as irrational as him. The idea of Benyu Bird Huiyu was overturned as soon as it appeared. "Impossible. The news said the day before yesterday that Benyu Bird Huiyu is a murderer. How could he be a superhero like Spider-Man?" "Yes, a scumbag like Benyu Bird Huiyu is not worthy of being compared with Spider-Man. I just don't know where that guy is hiding, but I believe he can't hide for too long. Spider-Man will definitely bring him to justice." A trend of thought began to emerge. When people are in danger, the first thing they think of is not the police, but the superheroes wandering in the city. Sheriff George's worries are not unreasonable. "This is unfair to the police." Parker quietly poked Lazia in the back. "Don't you need to explain? They all think you are a bad guy." Lazia turned around. "It is Benyu Bird Huiyu who is regarded as a bad guy, not me." "If you have time, can't you make an appointment with Jessica? Why bother so much?" "By the way, Gwen." The people who couldn't discuss it finally turned the clue back to Gwen. "Can you reveal the identity of the other person? Even just a name will do." Gwen nodded. "I really only know one name. His name is Mr. Mew." "Mr. Moon? What a good name. You can tell he's a decent person, many times stronger than Benyu Bird Huiyu." "With Spider-Man and Mr. Moon, will they be responsible for all the criminal cases in New York City in the future?" "Contract your uncle. New York is not a fish pond." Lazia complained helplessly. These classmates really dared to think. "By the way," Parker came again, "I'm going to date Jessica tonight. Do you and Gwen want to come?" Lazia shrugged. "You guys go ahead. They don't let me date Gwen." "What?" Lazia lay on the table helplessly. "I felt like I just lost my virginity. Who did I offend?" Thank you Louse's AI book friend 1607221035156667 for the reward. This is the first time I've tried to push it this week. I hope everyone will support it. Chapter 33, Brother Zheng. When Parker asked Lazia, Jessica was also asking Gwen the same question. It was Jessica's long-cherished wish to date Parker, so when Parker proposed to go out with Lazia and Gwen, although Jessica was reluctant, she still accepted it. "I'm going to date Parker tonight. Do you want to ask Lazia to come with you?" "This is an opportunity." Gwen lowered her head and thought about it. What Jessica said made sense. This was really an opportunity. Since she was old enough to date a boy, as a female student who was both beautiful and intelligent in the class, naturally only the most handsome and brave boy could match her. But when Gwen tried it out with Lazia in the morning, He didn't feel it. As an American girl who dared to love and hate, how could she tolerate such a thing? Since you can't understand it in secret, let's just say it directly, I like you. Turning her head, Gwen looked at Lysia, trying to convey her determination with her eyes. Lysia just heard what Parker said and turned her head at the same time. The two looked at each other. One was full of affection, the other had a finger stuck in his nostril with dead eyes. Lysia smiled awkwardly and took his finger out of his nostril. My nostrils are just itchy, nothing else. You don't have to say it. Gwen took out her cell phone. Hello, Dr. Connerson. No, class hasn't started yet. What, really? Okay, I'll go over after school. I must be crazy. Turning back, Gwen apologized to Jessica. Sorry, Jess, I have something important to do tonight, so I may not be able to go with you. Really? That's a pity, Jessica praised in her heart. Thank you, Dr. Connerson. That's great. This Lysia. TSK. It turns out that our Parker is well-mannered. Lysia felt awkward in class that day, and always felt that Gwen was staring at his finger. I've washed it, okay? Or are you more interested in my middle finger, which is longer and thicker than your own? And then what? I have a better treasure. Do you want to see it? After all, he is not a real 17-year-old boy. Lysia's desire for sexiness is not as strong as his desire for strength. Not to mention that he is feeling uncomfortable all over now. Even if he has recovered, he will still retain his strength and prepare to continue fighting with the holy suitcase at night. If he is really being asked for too much by the big horse and loses all his energy, what is the point of training? Seeing those two people in a daze last night gave him a familiar feeling. Maybe if he does it again, he can figure out their identities and then solve the mystery of the holy suitcase. After a dull day of classes, Lysia left the school alone. Parker and Jessica went on a date, and Lysia was not in the mood to do justice in broad daylight. While he had nothing to do in the afternoon, he decided to go to the orphanage. He has stopped doing part-time jobs before. The $3,000 he earned in the wrestling hall is enough for a while, and recently he has been considering doing some business to make some money. After all, it is not a solution to live off the fat of the land. When he arrived at the orphanage, he did not see Grandma Joan in the hall. He asked the children and found out that Grandma was sick. In the room, Grandma Joan was lying weakly on the bed. Her face was not very good. Seeing Lysia coming, she smiled and greeted him. This is an old problem of mine. Don't worry, I asked Dr. Wang to prescribe medicine for me. I will be fine after taking a few doses. It's just right that you are back. If nothing happens, you can help me get the medicine back later. Clarice said she would go, and I am worried about her. Well, I'm fine. Leave it to me. After talking to Grandma Joan for a while, Lysia left the room and walked towards Chinatown with Clarice outside the door. Have you contacted Miss Potts recently? Lysia asked while walking on the road. Little Pepper's sister is very unhappy. When I called her last night, I could tell that she was very tired, Clarice replied. Although Little Pepper did not adopt Clarice in the end, she treated her very well and often called to ask about her situation, and Clarice really regarded Little Pepper as a sister and empathized with her experience. Well, you are still young. It is good to be able to talk to her. You can't help her with her affairs for the time being, so don't take it too seriously. As they talked, they arrived at the Lawang Chinese Medicine Hall in Chinatown. This Chinese medicine hall was opened by Lawang's father and has been passed down for 70 or 80 years. Lysia used to come here often. He was the one who came to see Lawang every time, so he was very familiar with the people in the Chinese medicine hall. But after entering the door, there was a strange young man sitting behind the table. The young man was probably in his 20s, with a half-long side part. He was not burly, but he gave people a very energetic feeling. When he saw this person for the first time, Lysia's heart tightened for no reason. This person is a master. When the young man saw Lysia, he was stunned for a moment, then stood up and said with a smile, "Are you here to see a doctor or get medicine?" Clarice asked curiously. "We are here to get medicine for Grandma." "Who are you, Uncle? Why is Grandpa Wang not here? Are you his apprentice?" The young man smiled and squatted down, Little sister is so cute. What's wrong with your grandma? Our grandma is the director of the Star Child Orphanage. The medicine was prescribed by Mr. Wang Chu and it was already prepared, Lazai explained on the side. Although the young man spoke with a smile, his every move revealed the temperament of a martial artist. Lazai, who has practiced the thousands of tiger dancers, can be considered half a martial artist. It is not uncommon for a few martial arts masters to appear in this Marvel world with complex and all-encompassing settings. After hearing Lazai introduce himself, the young man suddenly realized and immediately clasped his fists and said, "So you are the brother of Son of the Star. You are Lazai's brother in person." This sudden change of style made Lazai a little uncomfortable. He imitated the young man and clammed his fists in return. "I don't deserve it." "That's right, I'm Lazai. I don't know. Well, I don't know how to address you, brother." He didn't know what brother meant specifically, but calling you brother should be right. Seeing this, the young man wiped his nose with an embarrassed look. "I'm sorry, I'm used to saying this in my hometown, and I forgot that this is not the way you greet each other here. My last name is Zheng, and I just came to America to join Uncle Wang Chu. I'm a few years older than you, so you can just call me Brother Zheng." "So that's how it is," Lazai scratched his head. "It's good that the style hasn't changed." "I'm really afraid that you will suddenly tear off your clothes and say something like I-30 is going to defy the heavens today." "Brother Zheng, isn't Dr. Wang here?" "Where did he go?" "My uncle went abroad a few days ago. It seems that he had something important to do. He left in a hurry. I happened to come here, so I took care of this clinic for him." Brother Zheng smiled and said, "I have the prescription. My uncle has specifically told me to go get it for you." "Thank you." Lazai thanked him. "Thank you for the reward from book friend 201702131743394425. Please support me. The more collections and recommendations, the better. Please." Chapter 34 Text message for help. After sending the medicine back to the orphanage, Lazai took the bus back to his own building. He didn't have much contact with Brother Zheng. It was just the first time they met, so there was no need to get too close. Besides, neither of them was a mindless martial arts fanatic. Even if they could see that the other was a martial artist, they wouldn't fight in front of Clarice. But Dr. Wang Chu's going abroad made Lazai a little concerned, because Grandma Joan also said that Lao Wang was sometimes quite mysterious. Of course, these were all minor details, and Lazai wouldn't take them too seriously. As night fell, Lazai dragged out the holy cloth box and sat on it. Without Parker, he didn't want to go out alone as a night walker, so it was most important to seize the time to improve his strength. Sitting cross-legged, Lazai took off his shirt and began to recuperate with Senyuo Wangxiang. After yesterday's extreme experience, his strength increased again, and at the same time, it also caused great damage to his body. If he didn't adjust to the best state, he might leave hidden injuries if he continued to practice. The refreshing feeling of the natural air washing over the body overwhelmed Lazai again. For him now, this sensory stimulation has weakened a lot compared to the beginning. Perhaps it won't be long before the physical strength reaches a certain level, and this feeling will completely disappear. At the same time, in the Osborne Group building, the experiment has entered a critical stage. Since Gwen got a decay rate algorithm equation from the somewhere that day, Dr. Connors' experiment has made a breakthrough. Today, they are going to start the live experiment. As Dr. Connors' chief intern and the great contributor to the decay rate algorithm equation, Gwen naturally wants to witness this great moment together. In Dr. Connors' laboratory, Gwen is recording data in a white coat, while Dr. Kunkas is operating the computer program on the side. After failing dozens of times, the computer program finally succeeded in verifying the live experiment, which means that the real live experiment can be started. With excitement, Dr. Connors and Gwen completed the injection of the mice together. The next step is to wait for the results of the live reaction. Whether it is success or failure, it is a process that needs to be waited for. It was getting late, and Gwen left the Osborne Group building after saying goodbye to Dr. Connorson. Downstairs, Gwen called Sheriff George, but Sheriff George broke his promise. He said he would pick her up after get off work, but he was on a temporary mission and broke his promise. Gwen had no choice but to take a taxi home. In the taxi, Gwen took out her mobile phone and browsed the news. After more than 10 minutes, she looked up and looked out the window, only to find that it was an unfamiliar road outside. "Mr. Driver, this doesn't seem to be the address I said, right?" Gwen couldn't help asking. The driver glanced at Gwen in the rearview mirror and said with a smile, "Don't worry, I'm taking a shortcut and will be there soon." "Oh." Gwen leaned back in her chair, as if she accepted this statement, but her fingers started pressing on the phone. "I may have been kidnapped, and the taxi driver took me on a completely unfamiliar road. Try to save me." After editing the text message, Gwen clicked to send it to Sheriff George. After sending it, she forwarded another message to Lizzie. Just after sending the message, the phone rang. Before Gwen could see who was calling, the driver stopped the car and poked a black object towards her. "Miss, give me your phone." Gwen didn't dare to resist with the muzzle of the gun pointed at her, and handed over the phone obediently. "The doors and windows are locked. If you don't want to suffer physical pain, just sit still and don't move. Otherwise don't blame me for being rude." After the driver took the phone, he threw it out of the window, then turned around and started the car again. Gwen looked at the increasingly desolate scenery outside, and her heart was completely panicked. There was no doubt that she had been kidnapped, and the robber had a gun. If this continued, not to mention her body, she might even lose her life. What should I do? Can my father find out where I am? Can he come to save me in time? And, in the small building, Lizzie let out a long breath. After more than an hour of practice, her body was finally completely restored. The next step was to fight the holy cloth box. Taking out his cell phone, Lizzie casually glanced at the time, and then prepared to continue his practice. A message on the phone attracted his attention, and the note was "Go away." In his memory, this number seemed to be Gwen's cell phone number that Lizzie had secretly inquired about before. In order to prevent being discovered, the note name Gun was specially written in Chinese pinyin, which was very similar to the pronunciation of Gwen's name. Why would Gwen send me a text message? Clicking it, it was a text message for help. Lizzie's first reaction was a prank, but looking at the time the text message was sent, 9:30 in the evening, the relationship between the two should not be close enough to send text messages at this time to play a prank, and today is not April 1st. Thinking about it, Lizzie directly called Parker's number. "Hello, Zion, is there something wrong so late?" Parker's voice on the other side was very cheerful, and it seemed that the date went well. "Well, are you still with Jessica?" Lizzie did not hesitate and went straight to the point. "Looking for me?" "Oh, hello Lizzie, I'm Jessica. What's the matter?" Jessica's voice came from the other end. "Do you have Gwen's phone number? Please call and ask if she's home. Don't ask why. There's no time to explain. Call now. Call Parker." After Parker took the phone, Lizzie continued, "Do you know a computer hacker? I need to check the location of a mobile phone, and I also need to mobilize the camera records in the city to check a taxi. I know someone online. I can ask him." Soon after Parker answered, Jessica's anxious voice came over. "Gwen's mother said she's not at home. Did something happen?" "I know. Where are you?" "I'll come to find you." "No need. We'll go to Jessica's house right away. I'll find you later." Parker hung up the phone after he finished speaking. After hanging up the phone, he dialed Gwen's number, but no one answered. He didn't know what was going on. Lizzie sat cross-legged and began to think. Gwen received a call from Dr. Connors at noon. After school, he should have gone to the Osborne Group building, so it is very likely that he got on a taxi after leaving the Osborne building. If Parker's online friends can get access to surveillance footage, they might be able to find the whereabouts of the taxi. There doesn't seem to be a scene in the movie where Gwen is kidnapped. Could it be that My Little Wings found her? Gwen, how could she be so unlucky? I finally pulled you out of Parker's vortex, but you fell into another pit. Your fate is really unfortunate. Don't mess with me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35, Dark Night. While Parker was swinging on the road, He had already contacted his hacker friend Hyde. After hearing about Gwen's identity, Hyde directly overturned Lazia's previous arrangement. He did not check the surveillance, but directly hacked into the police station's computer system. Since Gwen is the daughter of the sheriff, if she has time to send messages to Lazia, she will naturally have time to send messages to her father. Therefore, Hyde analyzed that the police should have known about it now and may have started to look for clues. When Lazia waited for Parker in the small building, Parker had already received the message from Hyde. The police have located Gwen's mobile phone and are sending people there. Hyde said that the location has not moved for more than 10 minutes. Maybe the other party has arrived at the reserved location and is committing a crime. Lazia stood up and walked to the window. Anyway, go over and see where the location is. As soon as Parker finished talking about the location, he saw a layer of red flames on Lazia's body. When the flames dissipated, his whole body was covered with black armor, Bennu Birdhuio's battlesuit. Parker's eyes lit up. It's no wonder he was so surprised. Lazia's black suit was really handsome, and it was also convenient and quick to change clothes. Lazia nodded. Let's go over and take a look without delay. Well, Parker nodded and jumped onto the windowsill and shot out a spider silk. I'll go first. Before he finished speaking, he felt a black shadow flash beside him, and a pair of wings behind Lazia swung violently, and the man rushed out like an arrow. You can actually fly with wings. You are cheating. Parker jumped into the air with the spider silk, chasing Lazia relentlessly. He originally thought that it would be like last night. When he arrived at the scene, the fight was over, and Lazia hadn't arrived yet. However, he forgot that Lazia was wearing Mr. Mew's yellow and white battlesuit last night, and of course his running speed on the ground was not as fast as his swinging on the sky. And today Lazia was wearing Bennu Birdhuio's Birdman battlesuit. With full firepower, Lazia instantly flew out of the speed of a civil airliner. Lazia arrived at the destination in less than 3 minutes, covering more than 30 kilometers. This was a desolate area with no buildings to hide in. After circling in the air for a week, Lazia found a cell phone that had been ringing in the grass by the roadside. Fuck. Lazia was so angry that he almost crushed the phone. After calming down, Lazia sorted out his thoughts. He received the text message about 20 minutes ago. If Gwen's phone was thrown away after sending the text message, then it means that the criminal's taxi left here no more than 20 minutes ago. The road under his feet has only one direction. The criminal's car is naturally heading away from the city. There should be clues if he follows the road. The taxi's speed is 70 kilometers per hour. He drove about 15 kilometers in 20 minutes, and he could fly there in more than a minute. 1 minute later, Lazia found a taxi that had been turned off in the woods by the roadside. The car was actually far away from the main road. If it was not at night and the noise made by the car was too loud, Lazia might have missed it. In the taxi, Gwen thought she was finished. The driver took her to the woods in the wilderness in the middle of the night and forced her to take off her clothes at gunpoint. Seeing the driver's expression, Gwen knew he was not joking. If she dared to resist, he would really shoot. And if she didn't resist, her innocence might be in jeopardy. Although the foreign girl didn't take chastity so seriously, it also depended on who she was with. No one wanted to be forced to have sex for the first time. Resist. Must resist. Gwen didn't think of cooperating obediently to save her life. She was the daughter of the sheriff, not one of those delicate and powerless little princesses. After making up her mind, Gwen decisively resisted, and the driver was caught off guard and his pistol was knocked off his body. Although the pistol fell off, the driver was a man after all, and his strength was much greater than Gwen. After a struggle, he pressed Gwen under him and prepared to rape her. Although Gwen's hands and feet were held down, she still had her mouth and teeth, and she bit the driver's ear directly. Ah! The shrill cry resounded through the fields, startling Lazia, who was flying in the sky. You stinky cousin. The gangster who had half of his ear bitten off finally got angry, raised his hand and slapped Gwen in the face. This slap was so powerful that if it really went down, Gwen's face would be unbearable to look at. Gwen looked at the gangster viciously, with only one word in her eyes: if you have the guts, you can kill me today. TSK. The warm liquid splashed on Gwen's face. She was surprised to see the hand that was about to be thrown at her fly into the sky. The next moment, The gangster's head soared into the sky, and a cavity of hot blood rushed into the sky. The headless corpse fell to one side, revealing a black figure behind him, wearing a flamboyant close-fitting armor, stepping on 7 colored clouds, like a peerless hero, with his hands together as a knife. Human blood, it turns out to be so hot. Gwen's eyes rolled back and she fainted. Throwing the driver's body aside, Zodiac possessed Gwen and picked her up. Fortunately, he arrived in time. Gwen was just surprised and had no physical injuries. Holding Gwen, he flew to the road. At the place where he saw the mobile phone, Zodiac met Parker, who was running. Seeing Zodiac coming back, Parker tore off the hood on his head and panted, "Did you find the person? Are you okay? This is in the wilderness. There is not even a tree. I am so tired." Without the support of buildings and trees, Spider-Man Parker tragically became a second-rate bus rider. Zodiac looked at the lights that were faintly lit in the distance, put Gwen on the side of the road, and pulled Parker into the air. 5 minutes later, several police cars came roaring, picked up Gwen, who was lying on the side of the road, and roared away again. After the police car left, Zodiac took Parker to flight to the small building. Flying in the air, Parker couldn't help asking, "Well, Zodiac, although asking this may be a bit of an invasion of your privacy, I still want to know, where did you get this armor from?" "It was given to me when I recharged my phone bill." After successfully saving Gwen, Zodiac was in the mood to joke. "Don't make a fuss, I'm talking to you about serious matters. Can you respect my sincere curiosity?" Parker said, a little unhappy. "It's not that I don't want to say it. You really can't learn this. Unlike the 1,000 tiger dance, it can only be regarded as a physical skill. As long as you master the essentials, anyone can learn it. But all things in the world involves a set of energy systems." Zodiac was also enlightened by the small universe of the Holy Cloth Box. He only knows how to use it, but he can't figure out the principle. Just like a web writer, playing with the computer to find seeds is naturally no problem. But if you ask him to shoot it as Tokyo is not too cold for you, it's a bit too much. Thank you for the 600 reward from I really don't want to move. Thank you all for your support and encouragement. Thank you. Chapter 36 Memory Reappearance. It was almost midnight when he returned to the small building. After a running trip that he rushed to catch up with, Parker returned home with infinite regret. "Don't be like this. If you hadn't found that friend to help, we wouldn't have been so smooth tonight." Zodiac comforted him before leaving. Parker's eyebrows drooped, and his whole face was gloomy. "Even without me, the police could have found Gwen according to the clues. My role is very limited. Although I don't want to admit it, it seems that I am really a minor figure." "Don't be discouraged. You will be the pride of the whole New York. Come on, I'm rooting for you." After seeing Parker off, Zodiac came to the attic. Although Gwen was delayed for a while due to an accident, his training plan for tonight will not change. After dragging out the holy suitcase, Zodiac adjusted his state and sat cross-legged on it. The moment the holy suitcase's small universe appeared, Zodiac directly used the natural energy, and the Suzaku back pattern on his back was clearly visible. Unspeakable pain filled his body again. After a long period of suffering, Zodiac's consciousness once again drifted to the wide training ground. There were still countless teenagers sweating on the training ground, and there were still 2 blurred companions beside Zodiac. But this time they seemed to have grown taller, and there was a difference in height. The black-haired boy who spoke last time was a little shorter, while the other blonde boy was a little taller. The black-haired boy and the blonde boy were fighting each other. The fighters trained in the same training ground had completely different fighting styles. The black-haired boy dared to fight and punched vigorously, while the blonde boy had a Confucian style and his movements were mostly defensive and counterattack. Although the two were still young, they looked to be in their teens, but they were very strong and fast, and their fighting was very methodical. Zodiac thought to himself, "If I were to fight any of them now, I would not dare to say that I would win." The teenagers in the Saint Seiya world are all perverts and cannot be measured by ordinary people. According to the original SS time setting, Saga was 15 years old when he killed Shin and usurped the throne of the Pope. Dai was 14 years old, and Shura, who was chasing Dai, was 10 years old. This year, Death Mask was 10 years old, Aphrodite was 9 years old, and the other golden ones were 7 years old. A few teenagers turned the sanctuary upside down. Just ask if you are afraid. This is nothing. Let's continue. When the main story of SS began, Seiya was 13 years old. Even if the timeline is stretched, it will not exceed 1 year until the Hades chapter. The 14-year-old Seiya killed Hades, the Hades who had been causing trouble since the mythological era, and killed the god. Compared with these people, Seiya felt that when he was 13 or 14 years old, he was simply a mentally retarded person, and he instantly lost interest in life. The two fought very freely, from one end of the training ground to the other, not only smashing many walls and stone pillars and other public facilities, but also affecting many nearby trainees. In the end, everyone stayed away from them. It was unknown how long they had been fighting, but the two of them were still tied. It seemed that they were not satisfied with the fight. When they reached Seiya, they attacked him at the same time. Seeing this, Seiya hurriedly tried to perform the thousands of tiger dancers to dodge, but his body did not listen to him and he used another set of fighting methods. This set of fighting methods was not as complicated and complex as the thousands of tiger dancers, but the moves were extremely fast and the angles were also very tricky. He fought against the two of them alone and was not at a disadvantage. After fighting for a long time without success, the two finally stopped, and the black-haired boy panted, "I didn't expect that we couldn't catch up with you after trying so hard for so long. You are still so powerful." The name was about to come out, but Seiya woke up at this moment. It was like you had a spring dream, and all the preparations were completed smoothly. Just when you were about to pick up your gun and mount your horse, the alarm clock rang to remind you that it was time to go to class. That feeling is simply looking at the dark starry sky outside the window. Seiya cursed fiercely, MMP. The man in the dream is definitely stronger than the current Seiya. With his strength, he is still just a Saint Seiya candidate, so Seiya is naturally far behind. Seiya also started to think about the identity of the person he possessed. Judging from the training ground, it should be in the sanctuary, but in the original Saint Seiya, Seiya is the only bronze saint who trained in the sanctuary. The black-haired boy who spoke is somewhat similar to Seiya, with an extroverted personality, loud voice, and sunny personality. But who is the blonde boy? Hyuga? Impossible. Hyuga is still in Siberia at this time. How could he be in the sanctuary? The only person who has a connection with Seiya in the sanctuary is Cassios, and Seiya will never believe that the Confucian blonde boy is Cassios. There must be a limit to being ugly. Okay, the person who possessed him was the key point. Although he could not see his appearance, he could not guess for a while, but one thing was certain, that is, this person was definitely not a girl. Although it was not very clear, Seiya still knew where the extra 2 tails of flesh grew. Even if he could not touch the 2 tails of flesh, he could always feel whether he was wearing a mask or not. If it was not a girl, the speculation of a fetus was ruled out first, which was quite regrettable. Among the 12 golds, only the 2 brothers, the Big and Small Eye, had hair close to black, and there was only one with golden hair, Shaka from the Ganges. It was said that no one would team up with Big Eye, but it was more like Little Eye, and the other one was somewhat similar to Shaka's personality. But where could he find a peer who could fight against Little Eye and Shaka alone? Camus, Mew, Aldebaran, Milo. Even the fans of these 4 people dare not guarantee that they can do it. That was Aeolia who almost became the protagonist and Shaka who was closest to God. Stop it. Having denied the speculation of the Gold Saints, Seiya could only hope for the Silver Saints. It seems that the Silvers who went to Japan to carry out assassination and clear bronze missions had a trio, but Seiya could not remember their hair color. Who would remember the physical features of some insignificant supporting characters? Unless they were gifted like Kimian of Corvus and Frog the 30th of Hades. In fact, the functions and shapes of this silver armor are quite good, such as Lyra. After thinking fruitlessly, Seiya sat up straight and began to practice the 10,000 things. In the process just now, he had already felt that the stimulation of the armor box's microcosm on him seemed to have weakened a lot again. It seemed that he was not far from reaching the physical strength that could withstand the microcosm. After Seiya entered the practice, A dim constellation in the southern sky flashed inadvertently. Chapter 37 Identity Exposed. The New York police went out overnight and solved a taxi kidnapping case within 2 hours. The criminal resisted arrest and attacked the police, and was shot dead by the police on the spot. According to the police investigation, the criminal is a serial killer, and he is related to several previous cases of missing girls. The police are further investigating more information about this case. The next day, the newspaper published the information that the police solved the taxi kidnapping case, but Gwen's identity was strictly confidential. If the public knew that the sheriff's daughter could solve the case within 2 hours, while ordinary people might not be able to find their relatives again in their lifetime, it might cause a big incident. Gwen was fine, so she went to school as usual during the day. It was very close to graduation from high school, and she didn't want to delay her studies. Because of Lizzie, Parker and Jessica's confidentiality, the classmates in the class didn't know what happened last night, and everything was as usual. During the self-study class, Lizzie went to the library. She didn't come here to find any books, but just wanted to find a quiet place to practice for a while. Not long after sitting cross-legged at the wall behind the bookshelf, footsteps sounded. After a while, Gwen came out from behind the bookshelf and stood in front of Lizzie with his arms folded. "Is there something wrong? If you want to thank me for calling the police for you last night, then no need. Actually, I didn't help much. If you must thank me, then thank Parker." It was his friend Hyde who provided the clues to the police. Lizzie spread his hands and explained lightly. After last night, he suddenly realized something. As an extraordinary person, it would be very troublesome for him to have an ordinary girlfriend. First of all, it is difficult to keep secrets. Two people live together day and night, but don't know each other's secrets. Do you think they are Mr. and Mrs. Smith? It feels uncomfortable to have no one to share secrets. Maybe he can tell the other person his identity directly like Parker and the Amazing Spider-Man. But then what? Every time before going out, the other party will tell you to be careful and pay attention to safety. After going out, the other party will wait at home anxiously, not knowing whether you will be injured, when you will come back, or even if you can come back. Moreover, the identity of a superhero may implicate the other party in dangerous events. Gwen's death is the best proof. At this point, I want to thank Disney for Hawkeye and his wife. Disney's purpose is family fun. If another company had filmed Avengers, would they still want to have 3 children in peace? What good things are they thinking? They would have died so many times. The Eggman couldn't even protect himself. How could he protect these women and children? So whether it's for his own future troubles or for Gwen's sake, Lizzie had better not fall in love with her. He can't pull Gwen out of Parker's Star of Death buff and send her into another fire pit. Although Lizzie will become a Saint Seiya in the future, it's useless. The Saint Seiya can't even protect the goddess. The reason why Saori can survive so many crises is because she is tough. Gwen obviously doesn't have Saori's toughness. A fall from a building is enough for her to break her cervical vertebrae and die. If it's just a simple and friendly exchange of sticks and clams, and then go their separate ways, Lizzie can't accept it. It feels that it's no different from buying prostitution. Thank you. Gwen was not affected by Lizzie's attitude. She looked into Lizzie's eyes and said seriously, "Thank you so much. You know what I'm saying." "Yeah, I got it. If you want to read any book, go get it yourself. If you like it here, I'll make room for you." Lizzie patted the floor beside her. Gwen sighed, "You don't have to pretend anymore. I know that person is you. If you are worried about your identity being exposed and don't want to admit it, I won't force you. I also know that the police's attitude towards you is not very friendly, but I believe it is a misunderstanding, and you are not a person who kills innocent people indiscriminately." Cough, cough. Lizzie coughed twice, and pointed behind Gwen. "Classmate Gwen, I think you really misunderstood something. I don't understand what you said, especially the indiscriminate killing of innocent people. What does it have to do with that? I didn't even dare to kill a chicken since I was a child. Right, Uncle." Gwen turned around and saw a white-haired old man in a white shirt and black vest passing by. Hearing what Lizzie said, he stretched out his hand in response. "I have known this guy since he was a child. He really doesn't dare to kill chickens, but he is good at playing with eggs." "Uncle, Lizzie interrupted Uncle Lee with a frown. Look at what you said, hurry up and do your own thing. We are having a serious chat, haha. Uncle Lee laughed and went out. Gwen looked at the back of Grandpa Lee as he left, and asked in a low voice, "Are you familiar with the administrator, Mr. Lee?" Lizzie nodded. Grandpa Lee has known the director of our orphanage for a long time. Grandpa is old, so don't take his words too seriously. Do you want to sit down for a while? When Lizzie said this, he actually meant to remind Gwen to leave if he had nothing to do, but unexpectedly, Gwen actually sat down next to him. You really want to sit down? No, I mean, is it appropriate for you to sit on the ground in your short skirt? Lizzie was a little helpless. Is Gwen trying to pay for it? It's impossible that I misunderstood. It's okay, I have safety pants. Gwen sat next to Lizzie with her legs crossed, and her upper body leaned towards him, looking like a love-struck little woman possessed by her boyfriend's shoulder. Don't. Lizzie wanted to move a little to the side, but Gwen unexpectedly hugged his arm. You don't have to say it. I understand everything. Gwen leaned her head on Lizzie's shoulder and whispered, although I fainted last night, before I fainted, I saw the person who saved me. He had black hair and a thin figure, exactly like you. Besides, only Dad and you knew that I was kidnapped. If that person was not you, how could you appear there at that time and kill the criminals without mercy? Maybe. Lizzie felt that his arm was trapped in a soft trap, and the trap was swallowing up his fighting spirit and ambition. Remember that morning, you fell on the balcony of our house? Gwen interrupted Lizzie's explanation. My dad went on a mission the night before and said that there was a man named Benu Birdhuiuo who killed many people. Later, I saw the photo of Benu Birdhuiuo on the internet. He was wearing the same pants as you. Do you dare to say that all this is a coincidence? The weather was not too hot, but Lizzie felt a little sweat on his head. He thought he had been very careful, but there were so many loopholes with Gwen. These are just your guesses. Don't smear someone's innocence without evidence. You're right, Gwen nodded. I just want to ask my father if there are any more clues about Benu Birdhuiuo. Do you think if Dad knows this, will he deduce the true identity of Benu Birdhuiuo? If she is targeted by her father, Sheriff George, her ordinary life will no longer exist. He will never let go of your gaze even if he dies. So, you haven't told your father about these, right? Lizzie narrowed her eyes. Why, you don't deny it. Gwen's eyes curved. Lizzie raised a palm, with a hint of stupidity in his eyes. As long as we kill you, no one will know. Thank you book friend 20170213174339425 for the reward. Thank you all for your recommendation votes. Chapter 38 Dr. Lizard. Facing Lizzie's threat, Gwen was not afraid at all, but his face was full of surprise. You really? Gwen looked around and lowered his voice. Are you really Benu Birdhuiuo? No. Lizzie put away his hand, stood up and left. This skill could not be practiced anymore. Lizzie never thought that he would be defeated by a pair of pants after all his precautions. So, don't do bad things as a person, otherwise, no matter how careful you are, it will be difficult to erase all traces, and you will not be able to escape the punishment of justice in the end. Gwen got up and chased after him. I really didn't expect it. It's like a dream, you know? I didn't expect that there would be a superhero who only appears in comics around me. OMG. This is simply. Lizzie did not admit or deny it. He had no way to make up more lies to make up this lie, so he simply didn't answer. Does anyone else know about this? Parker. Does Parker know? Lizzie walked straight to the classroom. He decided not to talk to Gwen today. This female academic bully was too scary. Lizzie didn't say anything, but Gwen didn't stop. She analyzed as she walked. Jessica said that when you called yesterday, Parker didn't ask anything and just followed your instructions. And after sending her home, Parker rushed to your place. So, Parker knew your identity a long time ago, and he is very likely your assistant, just like many superheroes have assistants, wearing headphones and planning in a signal car full of equipment, right? That must be it. Gwen praised her own cleverness. When she walked into the classroom and passed by Parker's seat, she whispered in his ear, I already know your secret. Be nice to Jessica in the future, or I will expose you. Huh? Parker almost spit a spider silk on Gwen's mouth, but fortunately he held back. Gwen smiled triumphantly, stood up and prepared to leave. When she lowered her head and casually looked at the notebook on Parker's desk, she was stunned. Parker's handwriting was very familiar, as if she had seen it somewhere. Gwen closed her eyes and thought about it, then suddenly opened her eyes, took out a pen and wrote a formula on the paper. "Do you recognize this?" Parker looked down and said in shock, "How do you know this formula?" Gwen was even more shocked than Parker. "How do you know this formula?" The two stared at each other for a while, and Gwen shook her head. "It's like this. I saw a ball of paper with various formulas written on it." "You wrote it, right?" Parker recalled and nodded. "I should have written it once." Gwen happily pressed Parker's shoulder. "Where did you see this formula? Is there anything related? Can you introduce it to me? This is very important to me." "To Dr. Connor's experiment." "What experiment? Is Dr. Connors going to conduct a live experiment on the lizard's regeneration gene?" Parker asked happily, because he guessed that the spider gene was the reason why he became what he is now. So if Dr. Connors starts conducting related experiments, he especially wants to know the results, which is related to whether he will have any sequelae. Gwen shook her head. "I just finished injecting the mice last night, and I don't know the final result yet." "Then can I go and watch it tonight? I'm very interested in this." Parker and Gwen, two top students, hit it off and decided to go to the laboratory in Osborn Building to see the results together in the evening. Josiah didn't want to go at first, as he was in a hurry to go back to develop the Holy Cloth box, but Parker insisted on dragging him along, and he couldn't refuse, so he had to agree reluctantly. After school in the evening, the three of them came to Osborn Building, and under the leadership of Gwen, they went directly to Dr. Connor's laboratory. In the past, the laboratory was very busy and usually hadn't gotten off work at this time, but today, for some reason, there was even little light in the laboratory. After Gwen unlocked the door, she took the two of them to the office and found Dr. Connors sleeping on the table. Josiah secretly glanced at Dr. Connors' right arm hanging under the table, and secretly said that she was late. Dr. Connors should have injected herself with lizard serum. Dr. Connors' lost right hand has grown back at this time, and there is a layer of something like a cocoon wrapped around it. This is the result of the lizard's regeneration gene. However, it will not be long before this gene will quickly spread to Dr. Connors's whole body, and then he will be transformed into a humanoid lizard monster, become a real Dr. Lizard. Although this change is not permanent, his combat effectiveness is very strong. His strength and speed are not inferior to Spider-Man Parker, and his thick skin provides him with super strong defense, which ordinary small-caliber bullets cannot break. When Gwen and Parker woke up Dr. Connors, Josiah started to move his joints in the back, preparing for the possible war. When Dr. Connors woke up, he looked at his regrown right hand and almost cried with joy. "Congratulations, Doctor. The experiment was successful." Gwen and Parker sent their sincere blessings. When Dr. Connors heard that Parker was the son of his former colleague Richard Parker, his originally happy mood suddenly became gloomy. It was because of Richard Parker's departure that all the experimental data on spider genes were lost, so Dr. Connors had to start all over again. Without Richard Parker's spark of genius, Dr. Connors' research progressed very poorly. It took more than 10 years until the decay rate algorithm formula left by Richard Parker came into being, and he really reached the stage of live experiments. However, even so, he was a step too late. The Osborn Group had terminated his funding and was going to kick him out. All this was thanks to Richard Parker. But he was in a good mood now and didn't want to bother with Parker. Dr. Connors didn't want to bother with Parker, but it didn't mean that others didn't want to bother with him. When the three of them were talking, Josiah didn't participate. He was the only one who took a roll of white cloth from the dark inside his backpack and started to wrap it around his hands. He wrapped it very seriously and attentively, as if he was performing a ritual. At this time, Josiah was very excited because he could let go and do a big job. He had never had an evenly matched opponent before. He was too familiar with Parker to kill him, and he was defeated by Hawkeye's arrows. Josiah was so angry that he had no place to vent. If he can't fight with punches and kicks, What kind of Saint Seiya is he? And the Dr. Lizard who is about to transform is his perfect opponent. Extra chapter for the Butler book. Friend 201702131743399425. Thank you for your support. Chapter 39. A disagreement. During the conversation, Dr. Connors did not feel any ill will from Lizzie. He was still in the excitement of regaining his arm. How could he care about an irrelevant little person like Lizzie? After chatting with Parker and Gwen for a few words, Dr. Connors paused the conversation and made a phone call. After the call, Dr. Connors looked a little unhappy. Ah-san, dressed in a suit, was already on his way to the Disabled Veterans Center with the serum, which Dr. Connors had verbally refused before. We must stop him. Dr. Connors fell to the ground after saying this. Parker was quick and reached out to support him. Gwen also wanted to step forward, but was held back by Lizzie. Dr. Connors stood up, shaking his head. His mental state was a little unstable. He grabbed Parker's clothes and shouted loudly, "We must stop him. We must." Parker looked embarrassed. "Can you tell me first, who are you going to stop?" "You don't know." Dr. Connors threw Parker aside, turned around and staggered towards the door. A figure blocked Dr. Connors. "Doctor, you are not in a good condition. Here is a warm reminder for you. You need to sit down and drink a glass of cold water to calm down." Dr. Connors looked at Lizzie in front of him, and a kind of irritable mood arose in his heart for no reason. "Don't stop me here. Get out." Green scales began to appear on his neck, and the right hand that had just grown out also showed signs of demonization. Dr. Lizard was about to transform. "Parker," Lizzie flexed his knuckles and shouted, "you go find that assassin. Let Gwen help identify him. I will stay and discuss some academic issues with the doctor." "What academic issues are you discussing?" Gwen felt that Lizzie's statement was ridiculous. What academic issues could he, a poor student, discuss with a doctoral supervisor, such as postpartum care for SOs? But Parker directly pulled her out of the office. Parker's personality was a bit fussy. That was because he could not recognize his own direction. Since he teamed up with Lizzie's approach and decision convinced him, so he began to have a bit of blind obedience to Lizzie in his heart. As long as it was arranged by Lizzie, he would not ask too much. After the matter was resolved, Lizzie would naturally give him an explanation. After Parker and Gwen left, Lizzie took off his coat, revealing a white vest of the same style as Wolfunkel. His strong muscles made the vest bulge. Although it was not as explosive as Wolfunkel, it was also full of masculine beauty. "Doctor, don't suppress the anger in your heart, release it. It happens that no one is here now, and you don't have to worry about being seen." "What are you talking about?" Dr. Connors clenched his fists tightly, as if he was suppressing something, but that thing was not something that a lazy scholar like him could suppress. As his emotions continued to explode, Dr. Connors finally couldn't suppress the lizard gene in his body. Starting from his new right hand, green scales quickly spread to his whole body. At the same time, his body continued to grow rapidly. In just a moment, he grew into a huge lizard man with a height of more than 2.5 meters. This transformation is so fucking fantastic. Why didn't I travel to the world of Sailor Moon? If I had gone to the world of Sailor Moon, I would have pestered those 5 old women and forced them to transform every day. When Lizzie complained, Dr. Connorson had already completed the process of transforming into a lizard. According to convention, after the transformation is completed, you need to clench your fist and raise your head, let out a long roar to the sky, and use a roar to prove your existence. Dr. Lizard is no exception. Roar, puff. Just as Dr. Lizard was about to roar, a fist as hard as steel hit him in the side of his face. He was hit by a punch unexpectedly, and his roar was hit back in his throat. He almost bit his tongue. Dr. Lizard staggered back a step, his pupils erected and full of anger. "You bastard!" Puff. Lizzie took a step to catch up and hit Dr. Lizard in the side of his face again, interrupting his voice again. "Do you want everyone to see you in such a majestic state, Dr. Connorson?" Although what you said made sense, Dr. Lizard was still angry. As a powerful genetic warrior, he could not tolerate being interrupted again and again. Seeing Lizzie's punch coming, he raised his arm to block the fist. On his other hand, the sharp claws pierced out. He wanted to pierce the opponent's bladder and make such an arrogant boy pay the price. The expected blow did not fall on his arm, and the sharp claws also missed. Dr. Lizard only felt a figure flash in front of him, and his chin was hit hard, and the whole person was hit and flew up. Bang! Dr. Lizard's huge body was smashed to the ceiling, and then fell back to the ground with a bang. The whole floor seemed to be shaking. Lizaya landed, and his fingers were a little painful. This lizard man's defense is indeed not exaggerated. With Lizaya's current strength and physical fitness, he couldn't break the defense. Although he had a lot of fun fighting just now, Dr. Lizard was fine, and not even a drop of blood was shed. Dr. Lizard stood up, and was about to explode with anger. "You bastard, I must tear you into pieces." Seeing Dr. Lizard unharmed, Lizaya smiled. "That's good, I'm not afraid of hurting you." As soon as the voice fell, Lizaya was suddenly wrapped in flames, and a high-pitched phoenix cry sounded. Lizaya turned into a ferocious firebird and rushed to Dr. Lizard in an instant. Dr. Lizard had no time to dodge and was knocked down by the firebird. His body flew backwards involuntarily. Not far behind him was a large floor-to-ceiling glass window. The glass window was smashed to pieces. After Lizaya rushed out of the Osborne building with Dr. Lizard on his back, he did not stop and flew directly up to the roof of the building. Although there was no one in Dr. Connor's office, it was in the Osborne building after all, and it was not convenient for people to come and go. Regardless of Lizaya's appearance or Dr. Lizard's appearance at this time, it was not suitable to be seen by the public. The Osborne building has 108 floors, and it overlooks all nearby high-rise buildings with its unparalleled height. The Empire State Building, a New York landmark with a similar height, has only 102 floors and is very far away. It was already night, and the sky was pitch black. Unless a helicopter came up, no one would notice their figures. After landing, the flames on Lizaya's body dissipated, and the black clothes he had just used for flying also dissipated. He had to face Dr. Lizard, an opponent of equal strength. As a simple Saint Seiya candidate, this was an experience and a test for him. Dr. Lizard rolled to one side. The lizard gene made his brain slow to think and his actions closer to instinct. At this time, in his eyes, there was only Lizaya as an enemy. His claws, his sharp teeth, and his strong tail have long been thirsty. Thank you all for your support and encouragement, but this is not enough for the thirsty author. Please recommend, collect, and support. Chapter 40, Just to Do. With a roar, Dr. Lizard landed on all fours, and his strong muscles burst out with powerful force, making his body instantly ejected like a cannonball. Flying in the air, Dr. Lizard stretched out his sharp claws, aimed at Lizaya's chest and stabbed. "Good timing," Lizaya said secretly, and he let go of his whole body, without even thinking about dodging. He had long needed a hearty battle to consolidate his body. He didn't need the natural energy or the black clothes, and rushed forward with the strength of his body. The moment the two collided, Lizaya held Dr. Lizard's wrist with one hand, and clenched his fist with the other hand, and hit Dr. Lizard hard. The power of Dr. Lizard's claw was probably no less than a ton. Although Lizaya held it on the weak part of his wrist, he was still knocked away by his powerful force. And Lizaya's fist also hit Dr. Lizard's abdomen firmly. With a bang, the two flew backwards, and no one felt good. Lizaya felt his entire left arm was numb and couldn't move, while Dr. Lizard was hit on his soft abdomen. Although the muscles were partially injured, Lizaya's hundreds of kilograms of strength concentrated on his small fist still made his internal organs churn. After a round of probing, the two had some understanding of each other, so they collided again. Lizaya knew that without the protection of Senyuo Wangxiang and Mo Yi, his strength was absolutely weak, and he would probably suffer if he fought hard. But, so what? Even if he was covered in wounds, he had to do it beautifully. In the world of Saint Seiya, there may be people like Shaka who closed his eyes and meditated to gain experience all the way to the maximum level, but that was just an exception. Most of the Saint Seiya came out of the tragic battle stepping on blood. Lizaya may be able to be trained by the small universe of the Saint's box and gain strength and speed beyond ordinary people. However, these things are not accumulated slowly by oneself after all. Just like Duan Yu's Ming divine art, he absorbed a lot of internal energy, but when he used the 6 Meridians divine sword, it was intermittent as if he had a prostate problem. In order not to be burdened by his unfamiliar body when facing supervillains in the future, Lizaya made the decision to go into battle shirtless at the critical moment. If he was still hesitant when facing Dr. Lizard, who was also unfamiliar with his body, then there was nothing to say. He could go back to the orphanage and find an older woman to be his husband, and live his life in a muddle. Dr. Lizard's claws pierced through the air and grabbed Lizaya's head fiercely. Lizaya clenched his fist and pushed towards the claws. There was a cracking sound, and Lizaya's bone seemed to be broken. The severe pain instantly spread from his fist to his entire arm. Taking advantage of the force to step back a few steps, Lizaya's entire right hand drooped down due to dislocation, and the skin was cut by Dr. Lizard's claws. The muscles were turned outward, and blood flowed down the arm to the ground. "I thought you were very capable, but it turns out you are just like this." Dr. Lizard stood in place, moving his slightly numb claws. The previous blow was nothing to him. Even if his arm was broken, he could rely on the regeneration ability of the lizard gene to grow a new one. "If this is all you can do, then die." After Dr. Lizard finished his harsh words, his figure rushed over again like a cannonball. Lizaya used his footsteps to evade the side flexibly, and at the same time pinched his wrist with his left hand and stopped it violently, and then reconnected his dislocated right hand. When Dr. Lizard saw Lizaya dodge, the corners of his ferocious mouth slightly raised, and he turned around violently, and the thick and long tail behind him passed through a weird angle and hit Lizaya's face. Lizaya had no experience fighting reptiles, so he had no way to dodge and was slammed into the air. Dr. Lizard reached out and grabbed Lizaya's leg, then swung his hand around and slammed him down to the ground. This scene was shown in Avengers 1, where Loki, a Norse god, was slammed down to the ground by the Hulk like a rag doll, lying in a pit with a look of despair on his face. Lizaya was not sure if his current physical strength could be compared to Loki's. If he was really slammed down, he would probably be crippled. In midair, Lizaya exerted force from his waist, and his body suddenly folded up, holding Dr. Lizard's arms with both hands, and then kicked Dr. Lizard's armpit. At the moment when he was stiff with pain, Lizaya pulled his legs free, held his arms with both hands and exerted force suddenly. Dr. Lizard's huge body was directly pried up, and with a bang, it hit the wall next to it, making a crack in the wall. Lizaya exhaled a foul breath and secretly said that it was a close call. "I would like to thank Teacher Tongnu here. If it weren't for your self-created thousand tiger dance, Lizaya would have been a failure just now." Although Dr. Lizard was hit hard, he was not injured. After landing, he turned over again, shook off the dust on his body like an animal, leaned down and let out an angry roar. "This guy is thick-skinned and tough, and is really tough." Lizaya moved his bloody and miserable arm. The bones might have been shocked in the fight just now. If it were an ordinary person, he would have been unable to move due to the pain of dislocation and several wounds. Even Spider-Man would be affected by the bullet in the thigh. However, these problems seemed to be non-existent for Lizaya. His body had already endured pain that was many times stronger than this on the Holy Cloth box, and he had long been accustomed to the pain. As long as his arm was not broken and could move, he would not retreat. "Come on!" Lizaya roared, and his body took the initiative to rush towards Dr. Lizard. Dr. Lizard was not to be outdone, and he rushed forward with a roar, and the two fought again. After adapting to Dr. Lizard's routine, Lizaya gradually got into her own rhythm. While using her footsteps to dodge his attacks, her fists and feet kept colliding with the sharp claws and the giant tail. Although her body was inevitably caught once or twice, and her limbs were numb, she still beat Dr. Lizard back step by step. Dr. Lizard relied on his strong defense. Although the scene was not good, he did not lose instantly. To go to the Rehabilitation Center for Disabled Veterans, you need to cross the sea-by bridge. It was peak traffic time, and the bridge was as congested as a parking lot. Parker rode on a skateboard and took Gwen to shuttle quickly in the traffic. "Gwen, look carefully. Don't miss it." "Don't worry," Gwen nodded. "You have to have confidence in my observation and memory. I am the first in the class. Can you stop mentioning this? Thank you for the tip from the helmsman Master Yizixi. Thank you to my new friend for the tip, Please support us. Thank you. Chapter 41 Parker exposed. Halfway across the bridge, after looking at hundreds of cars, Gwen finally recognized a black Mercedes-Benz belonging to the Osborne group from the traffic. Gwen looked at the man in the car and confirmed his identity. That's the car. That's the person Dr. Connors is looking for. The serum is in him. I'll go talk to him, Gwen said and walked towards the car. Parker watched Gwen knock down the window of the car from a distance, and then said something to the man in a suit in the back seat. The man in the suit, Hassan, had a disdainful expression and waved his hand casually to send Gwen away. Gwen was angry and pulled the car window and shouted loudly, "Sir, Dr. Connors said that this serum cannot be used for human experiments. You can't do this. You are erasing human rights and being irresponsible to life." Hassan didn't bother to pay attention to Gwen at all. He turned his head and signaled the driver to roll up the window. Gwen thrust her arm directly into the car window and grabbed Hassan's clothes. "Sir, please hand over the serum, or I won't let you go." The car window was rolled up by the driver, and the glass squeezed Gwen's arm so hard that it hurt, but she didn't think of giving up. If she couldn't get the serum back today, she would stay here. Hassan's collar was grabbed, and the serum happened to be in the pocket inside the collar. In order to prevent Gwen from taking it away in the chaos, he took out the serum, held it up to a distance, and said to Gwen viciously, "This serum does not belong to Connors, but to the Osborne group. We have the right to use it anywhere. Miss, please don't make trouble, otherwise I will call the police." Gwen wanted to grab the serum as soon as she saw it, but her body was stuck in the car window and she couldn't reach it. "You are Dr. Connors' intern, right? I should have met you. You know I have the right to cancel your internship qualification, and it may even affect your application for university. For the sake of your studies, I advise you to be more rational." Gwen bit her lip. She didn't expect the other party to threaten her with her studies. This undoubtedly touched her soft spot. If she couldn't go to a good university, her efforts over the past 10 years would be in vain. However, even so, Gwen did not back down. She shook her head and said firmly, "Sir, no matter what you say or do, I must take the serum back today." Then there is no other way. Hassan reached out to take out his mobile phone from his pocket and started to press the keys. "I will notify the Human Resources Department now." Whoosh! A white spider silk flew from a distance, straight through the gap in the car window, and accurately stuck to the serum in Hassan's hand. Hassan felt a flash in front of his eyes, and the spider silk pulled the serum out of the car window and landed in the hands of a weird fetish squatting on the guardrail in the distance. Parker had already changed into Spider-Man's uniform. He was squatting on the guardrail beside the bridge like a pervert, holding the lizard serum in his hand and looking at the light of the street lamp beside the road. "Miss over there, can you explain to me what this is? I was passing by and heard you say it was a dangerous thing. If it is, then I took it away. It's better not to carry dangerous things around casually." "Spademan." Gwen turned around and looked at Parker with surprise. She didn't know the identity of the man in the mask, but the voice was very familiar to her. Coupled with the praise of Spider-Man by her classmates, she also developed a sense of trust in Spider-Man. "That is a serum under development. There are great hidden dangers, Mr. Spider-Man. Please don't give it back to him. He wants to use it for illegal experiments." The people stuck in traffic around had heard the quarrel between Gwen and Hassan a long time ago. They didn't take it seriously at first, but the appearance of Spider-Man suddenly attracted everyone's attention. Many people got out of the car to watch, and even some younger people began to gather around. The charm of idols is huge, and meeting in person is the most lovable. "So that's how it is. Okay, I know. Hello, everyone." Parker waved to the crowd and shouted to the car window, "My friend, I took the things away first. If you want to get them back, please go to the New York City Police Department to collect them if they agree to let you take them back. No need to thank me. Bye." Raising his hand and saluting the car, Parker fell backwards. When the people around rushed to the guardrail and looked down, Parker's figure had disappeared. After quickly changing his clothes in the dark under the bridge, Parker took advantage of the chaos to climb up from the other end of the bridge, crossed the road and came to Gwen. "Gwen, what are you doing here?" Parker pretended to meet Gwen by chance, and went forward to help her pull her arm out of the car window. "It's late. Why don't you go home? Let me take you home." After Parker finished speaking, he took out his skateboard, helped Gwen stand on it, and slid out with a kick of his feet. Asan stared blankly at the two people who disappeared, and his mind was stunned for no reason. "What happened just now?" On the way back, Gwen said nothing, staring blankly at the road ahead. Parker manipulated the skateboard to flexibly shuttle in the traffic, and looked up and couldn't help asking, "What are you thinking about?" "I just saw the serum was taken away by Spider-Man." "Didn't he say that he would send it to the police station?" Dr. Rata's plan failed, and we have completed Dr. Connors' instructions. Gwen turned back and squinted his eyes and said, "You are Spider-Man." Parker's feet were unstable and almost hit the car on the opposite side. "No, what are you talking about? Why don't I understand?" "Spider-Man. Didn't Spider-Man leave just now?" Many people saw it. The speed of the skateboard slowed down unconsciously, and Parker pretended to be calm and explained. "Lazai has admitted that he has been you. Bird who you. I thought you were just his assistant at first, but I didn't expect that you were Spider-Man." "Don't deny it. I recognize your voice." Gwen directly exposed Parker's lie, and Parker was a little at a loss. "I didn't expect that Lazai, a man with thick eyebrows and big eyes, would betray G." On the roof of the Osborn building, Lazai sneezed for no reason. The opposite Dr. Lizard found a gap and took advantage of the opportunity to counterattack, sweeping him away with his tail. After such a long attack, Lazai's physical strength was a little exhausted. Although his will to fight was still strong, his fists and feet seemed to be filled with lead. His movements gradually slowed down, and his strength was not as strong as at the beginning. On the other hand, Dr. Lizard's strong endurance made him still energetic after being beaten. It looked like he could beat 10 more people without any problem. After being swept away by the lizard's tail, Lazai hit the wall and stopped. His whole body seemed to be falling apart. His body was about to reach its limit. Seeing Dr. Lizard walking over with a smile, Lazai knew that if there was no miracle, the grass on his grave would be very tall by this time next year. "Thank you Feng Huo Zai Jun Wang for the reward. Please support us!" Exclamation mark. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42. Destroying the Atom. When Dr. Lizard walked in front of the immobile Lazai and raised his claws fiercely, Lazai was already powerless to dodge and could only watch the claws fall. Facts have proved that when people are forced into a desperate situation, they will always burst out with powerful potential. At the moment when the claws fell, Lazai suddenly had a picture in his mind. A rough man in coarse linen clothes stood in front of the 3 children and said loudly, "The universe was originally a hole. The current universe was produced in the Big Bang more than 10 billion years ago. All things in the universe exploded into individuals one by one. There are small universes in these individuals. Human beings are individuals in the universe, and naturally there are small universes in their bodies. The small universe is the potential cosmic energy in the human body and the source of power in the human body. The power of the Saint Seiya is to explode a small universe in the body to obtain powerful destructive power. The Milky Way, stars, earth, flowers, grass, trees, stones, all of these are composed of atoms. The essence of destruction is to destroy matter at the atomic level. The power of the explosion of the small universe is the power to destroy atoms." After hearing this, the 3 children walked to a boulder, clenched their fists, and swung at the boulder. The 3 boulders shattered into pieces with a bang. Little universe. In just a moment, the veil covering his eyes was suddenly lifted, and Lazai felt that he had realized something. Facing the falling claws, Lazai raised his hand and stretched out a finger, pointing at the claws. Under the huge and sharp claws, a small finger was as pitiful and ridiculous as an ant trying to shake a tree or a mantis trying to stop a car. Dr. Lizard laughed. His gradually returning IQ told him that the boy in front of him had indeed been played by him and could not even put up a decent resistance. "You dare to ruin my good thing? I will cut you into 8 pieces and throw you down from here, and you will be crushed to pieces." Dr. Lizard made up his mind that he would not let Lazai have a good time today. Whoosh! The claws grabbed down, but the expected impact did not appear. Dr. Lizard was surprised to see that his right claw was gone. From the elbow to the palm, it all turned into gray. No, Dr. Lizard collapsed. How could he lose his right hand so easily after finally regaining it? He refused to accept it. Dr. Lizard raised his left hand and prepared to swing it down again. He suspected that it was because of the failure of the lizard gene. While his left hand had not yet changed back, he wanted to give Lazai a fatal blow. A finger was raised. Lazai leaned against the wall and raised his head. There was a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth, but his eyes were bright. Dr. Connors, are you sure you want to bet your left hand to verify the power of my finger? Dr. Lizard was stunned. The muscles on his right arm surged, as if a new arm was about to grow. That was to say, the disappearance of his right arm was not due to the failure of the gene, but the destructive power of that finger. Are you a devil? Dr. Lizard's raised left claw froze in midair, his fingers twitching, but he didn't dare to really hit it. He began to worry. What if his left arm also disappeared? What would he do with his experiment after he turned back to human form? He would still be a bird. The two were in a stalemate when a spider silk shot out from the outside of the stairs and stuck to the building on the roof. The spider silk flickered, and Parker and Gwen flew up and landed on the roof. Seeing the tall Dr. Lizard, the two who landed exclaimed at the same time, "OMG, what is going on?" Lazai. After being attracted by Dr. Lizard for a short moment, they noticed Lazai, who was leaning against the wall and was played with. Dr. Lizard saw new people coming, and there was a guy who looked like Spider-Man inside, and he hurriedly wanted to escape. But as soon as he took a step, the lizard features on his body began to degenerate. After a while, he changed from a 2-meter-tall behemoth back to the thin doctor with a broken arm. "Doctor!" Gwen hurriedly stepped forward to support Dr. Connors, and shouted with a look of collapse, "What on earth is going on?" Today, Gwen felt that her worldview had been completely refreshed. The boy she liked turned into a dark night killer, the familiar top student turned into an urban knight, and her mentor, the gentle Dr. Connors, turned into a disgusting and terrifying lizard man. What the hell? Did I get scared last night and am I still sleepwalking now? Gwen began to doubt her life. Parker went to the side to support Lazai and looked at his bleeding wounds nervously. "How are you?" "I'll take you to the hospital." After Parker finished speaking, he raised his hand to shoot Spider Silk. Lazai grabbed him and said, "Brother, do you think I can stand your building swing? I might pass by halfway. If I don't die from these injuries, I will be tortured to death by you. What should I do? If this goes on, you will lose too much blood." Parker was nervous and at a loss. No matter what, he didn't want to lose Lazai as a friend. "It's okay, I won't die." Lazai shook his head. He was covered with skin injuries, and the natural energy had wrapped the wounds and stopped the bleeding. He still looked miserable. The natural energy could help him stop the wound, but the pain in his body was real. But Lazai was extremely excited because he finally succeeded. After more than 40 chapters and 90,000 words, the SP author finally found his conscience and let him comprehend the microcosm and master this extraordinary power that has been echoing in his mind since childhood and made him dream and yearn for it. From today on, he can finally tell everyone in this world with a clear conscience, "I, Lazai, am a Saint Seiya who protects love and justice on earth. Any evil that tries to touch this land must first task my fist." Over there, Dr. Connors looked at Gwen in confusion, as if he had just woken up from a dream. "Gwen? What happened just now?" Gwen asked in confusion. You don't remember anything?" Dr. Connors nodded, then shook his head. "No, I remember. I seemed to have turned into a monster, and almost killed someone, that person." Dr. Connors stood up and looked at Lazai, who smiled and waved. "Hello, Dr. Connors, thank you for your hospitality." I'm sorry that things turned out like this. I didn't expect." Dr. Connors hugged his head in annoyance. "I just want my arm back." Actually, Dr. Connors is not a bad person, otherwise he would not have saved Parker, who was about to fall from the building before his arm disappeared. Most of his evil thoughts were caused by the lizard gene. "It's okay, you don't have to blame yourself. Doctor, Lazia stood up straight, walked slowly to Dr. Connors, and said with a smile, "Speaking of which, I still have to thank you. If it weren't for you, I might have been wandering on the road for who knows how long." Dr. Connors was relieved to see that the smile on Lazia's face was not fake. "Can someone explain to me what's going on with you guys?" Gwen shouted with a frown, as if she was the only ordinary person at the scene. Lazia rolled her eyes at her and said, "You should leave the group." Chapter 43, The Holy Cloth Appears. After Parker returned the serum he had snatched from Osan to Dr. Connors, the matter came to an end. Dr. Connors had already known the results of the serum experiment through personal experience. Lizard genes can indeed achieve the effect of limb regeneration, but at the same time, they will also cause the human body to produce a lizard-like mutation reaction. And there is an important problem, that is, this serum is time-limited. After a certain period of time, all the changes caused by the gene will disappear. Therefore, this serum is a failed product and it will take more time to study and improve. Gwen, as a bystander of the whole incident, was invited by Dr. Connors to participate in the next experiment. However, due to the reasons of the Osborne group, Dr. Connors' laboratory is about to enter a period of tight funding, and even the location of the laboratory has to be reselected. Lazia and Parker did not mention the issue of funds at the same time. Even if they went out to sell, they could not raise the funds for research. Dr. Connors discussed with Gwen for a while and decided to go back to the laboratory to sort out the experimental data and take them away. This is his research result and it is impossible to give it all to the Osborne group. In the laboratory, Gwen cleaned Lazia's wound and bandaged it. She strongly asked Lazia to go to the hospital and get another rabies vaccine. After all, he was scratched by an animal's claws, but Lazia did not agree. His body has a strong recovery ability. This kind of skin injury can heal itself. If he really went to the hospital, it would arouse the doctor's interest and cause unnecessary trouble. After treating the wound, Lazia said goodbye to Parker and returned to the small building alone. After a simple tidying up, Lazia couldn't wait to go to the attic. The first moment he realized the small universe, he wanted to rush back to see if there would be any changes in the holy clothes box. If Gwen hadn't pulled her to bandage him, he would have come back long ago. However, good things are worth waiting for. Anyway, this box belongs to him and no one can take it away. In the attic, Lazia looked at the quaint holy clothes box with a surge of emotion. Although the holy clothes box is still a white bronze box, it seems that it will never change when it is placed there. But Lazia can clearly feel that the things in the box are resonating with his own small universe. With a pious heart, Lazia slowly stepped forward, ready to study how to open the holy clothes box. As soon as he took a step forward, the whole world shattered with a bang. When Lazia, who was still in shock, came to his senses, he found that the roof, walls, and floor had disappeared, and the surroundings became a void, with only Lazia and the holy clothes box. No, on the holy clothes box, a person appeared faintly, a short, white-bearded, purple-skinned old man wearing a bamboo hat. You are Teacher Tong-U. Lazia stared blankly at Teacher Tong-U who slowly appeared, and was so excited that he couldn't help himself. He came to the Marvel world, but he could see the idol of the Saint Seiya world. Isn't it amazing? Haha, Tong-U smiled. His smile was kind and tired. Boy, we finally meet. You are faster than I thought. Haha, a little faster, a little faster. Lazia touched the back of his head with a smile. You are faster. Even if you are a teacher, you will have no friends if you say that. Apostrophe you are very good. Tong-U nodded, then reached out and patted the saint cloth box under him. I know you have a lot of questions, but I'm afraid I can't give you the answers. This box belongs to an old friend of mine and has been stored here for more than 200 years. Why are you here if you can't answer it? Are you mocking me? Old friend? Lazia looked at the empty side of the box. Excuse me, is your old friend the saint of the white plate? This. Oh my. Lazia opened her mouth and watched as a relief slowly emerged on the flat plate on the side of the box. An exquisite cup with ancient patterns engraved on the wall of the cup. It is not an ordinary thing at first glance. With the appearance of this cup, the identity of the saint cloth is also clear. The silver saint cloth of the Giant King. This saint cloth appeared in Hades mythology, North Dakota. The owner of the saint cloth is called Shui Jing, who has been training with Shin and Tongnu in the sanctuary since childhood. The scene that Lazai saw when he was in a state of confusion before was the memory of Shui Jing training with Shin and Dako left on the holy clothes. Shui Jing was promoted to Silver Saint because of his outstanding performance and became the eldest brother in the three-person group. He was the most popular for a while, but who knew that his two younger brothers were recommended by the Pope to become Gold Saints, surpassing him in status. I wonder if Shui Jing shed tears when he learned the result. According to the plot in the original book, Shui Jing later became one of the three giants of the underworld for some unknown reason, Garuda of the Hero Star, and after the previous Holy War began, he wore the underworld clothes and led the underworld army into the 12 zodiac signs. As a result, he fought from Shin of the first zodiac sign Aries all the way to Dako of the 7th zodiac sign Libra, and finally died tragically in Dako's arms. Tongnu's old eyes clearly reminded him of his old friend. He slowly stroked the saint cloth box and whispered, "I advise you to drink the golden cup, and you don't need to say goodbye when it is full. Flowers bloom in many winds and rains, and life is full of separations. Flowers also have the metaphor of wind and rain, and only separation can be called life." This is the farewell poem that Tongnu gave to Shui Jing when he died in battle, quoted from the Tang Dynasty poet Yu Wuling. I'm not talking about the number of words, it's just that master who is too literary. Even if it's not original, it's enough to cover the entire Saint Seiya circle. 1 against 87. When people get old, they tend to recall easily. I'm sorry to make you laugh. Tongnu looked up and smiled. It's nothing, it's human nature. But teacher Tongnu, what's the matter with the Senyuo Wangxian and Yukianerin dance that I learned? Are they also the memories of the saint cloth? Lazai was a little confused. Senyuo Wangxian and Yukianerin dance came from the Hades mythology LC, and they are Tongnu's skills, the armor of Mizukami in ND, plus the skills of Tongnu in LC. This is a crossover. Tongnu smiled slightly and continued, now that you have obtained this armor, it means that you are destined to have it. I hope you can treat it well. After speaking, Tongnu closed his eyes and his figure slowly faded away. After Tongnu completely disappeared, the surrounding void also slowly faded away and turned back to the original attic, and the bronze armor box in Lazaia's hand faded away from the old and colorful, and turned into a brand new silver box. The relief on the side of the box is clearly visible. This is indeed the silver armor of the giant seat. A silver armor was actually opened in a bronze armor box. There is only one explanation for such an unreasonable thing. Is Lazaia the legendary European emperor? Please support me. Thank you very much. Chapter 44, The Great Lord's Cloth. Recalling what Tongnu said just now, Lazaia discovered one thing. This Tiger Lord didn't seem to be the real Tiger Lord. From beginning to end, Tiger Lord seemed to be talking to himself, and didn't communicate with Lazaia at all. Although Tongnu paused in the middle as if he was listening to Lazaia, it seemed to be just a simple pause. Just like, hello, hello. Pause. Hey, hello, we are Gaizu United Winery. Everyone will basically receive such a harassing phone call in their life, with its bright voice and sunny tone, making you feel like you are really being teased by a young lady. When you say sorry and hang up the phone, you will suddenly realize, damn, was the phone recording just now? Lazaia had this feeling at this time. Thinking back carefully, the conversation process with Tiger Lord seemed to be no different from this. So, the section just now, which was about breaking the void and reciting poems to commemorate, was so mysterious. But it was just a 3D projection effect. It was just a consciousness left by Tongnu on the holy suitcase. When certain conditions were triggered, such as comprehending the microcosm, he would automatically appear. That's why he ignored Lazaia's question and just said what he wanted to say. So the question of why he got the white cloth box in the Marvel world is still unanswered. But to be honest, Lazaia is still very grateful to Tongnu, no matter why this cloth box appeared here, and why he became the owner of the cloth box. The abilities Lazaia has now obtained are all from the cloth box. And Senyuo Wangxian and Yukianerin dance. Needless to say, are also passed down from Tanu. Just for this reason, Lazai is grateful to Tiger. Bowing to Tiger in his heart, Lazai carefully touched the cloth box. This time the world did not break, and the cloth box did not have any problems. Lazai's hand touched the cloth box steadily. An unspeakable joy was conveyed from the cloth box, and the giant lord cloth that had been sleeping in it for more than 200 years seemed to be a little impatient. "Show up, the garment of the giant duke," Lazai shouted with full energy. The lid of the garment box suddenly lifted up, and a lavender light shot up into the sky. Then the four sides of the garment box fell in four directions, revealing a huge garment in the shape of a holy grail. Legend has it that on the battlefield in the distant mythological era, the cup of water used to moisten Athena's throat and relieve cough was the prototype of this garment. So until now, as long as you fill the cup with water, the water will gain divine power and can heal pain. Now, this powerful garment with healing power is lying there naked, waiting for Lazai's visit. Lazai stretched out her hand towards the garment with a smile on her face, as if inspired. The garment of the giant duke in the shape of the Holy Grail instantly disassembled into pieces of protective gear, which adjusted their shapes in the air and automatically flew towards Lazai. After a series of tinkling sounds, Lazai finished dressing up in the garment. Looking in the mirror, Lazai nodded in satisfaction. He was indeed handsome, even more handsome than the water mirror in the comics. He raised his hand, and the water vapor in the air began to condense in his palm. In just a moment, it crystallized into an ice-like fang more than 10 centimeters long. Lazai waved his hand casually, and the ice fang flew out instantly, flying out of the window at a speed that was difficult to see with the naked eye. After passing through a concrete wall without any hindrance, it sank into the asphalt road, leaving only a bowl-sized pit on the surface. In just a moment, the penetrated concrete wall was covered with ice crystals, and then it shattered into ice debris with a bang. The ground within a radius of more than 10 meters around the hole on the surface was also covered with ice crystals. A hapless sparrow in that area was about to take off, but was covered with ice crystals along the tip of its claws. It was frozen into an ice sculpture while keeping its wings spread. The casual attack of the Saint Seiya caused such powerful destructive power. The Saint of the Megatron can control the water vapor in the air, and can condense the water vapor into a transparent barrier to resist the enemy's attack, or condense it into ice-like fangs to attack the enemy. This move of condensing water vapor into fangs to attack is called Ice Spear White Lotus. A full-strength attack is said to be able to break the defense of the Gold Saint. Therefore, the water mirror of the Megatron is also a man who is said to have the strength beyond the Gold Saint, just like Lyra Orpheus. Ice Spear White Lotus. Lazai clenched his fists. Brother is also a person with a special move. In excitement, Lazai felt a problem. This holy cloth does not seem to match her. Although the holy cloth will automatically adjust its size according to the body of the saint, it cannot be adjusted in terms of strength. Lazai has now comprehended the microcosm, and according to strength, he should be the lowest level bronze saint. Although he is a bronze saint, he can wear the silver armor of the giant seat. If the box opens the gold armor, he can also wear the gold armor. However, his strength as a bronze saint will become his limitation, preventing him from exerting the power of the higher level silver armor. The defense of the armor can certainly reach the level of the silver armor or the gold armor, but the armor is not just a piece of armor for the saint. The armor can also enhance the attack power of the saint's microcosm. However, if your strength is not enough, the increase of the microcosm by the silver armor may even be worse than that of the bronze armor. For example, if the bronze armor increases the strength of the saint by 2 times, the silver armor by 5 times, and the gold armor by more than 20 times, then after the bronze saint wears the silver armor, he can only exert about 1.5 times the strength due to his own ability. The gold armor may even cause your strength to regress. The saint cloths are alive and spiritual. Since the gold saint cloth can abandon the Saint Seiya, it is not surprising that it can also hinder the Saint Seiya. After getting familiar with the newly acquired skills, Lazai took off the saint cloth and returned to the Holy Grail form. Looking at the Magna garment placed in the form of a Holy Grail on the saint cloth box that had returned to the box shape, Lazai had an idea in his mind for no reason. I wonder if Tony Stark's Vertex Award trophy is as handsome as my cup, but this cup seems a bit big. About 60 to 70 centimeters high, and it seems a bit inconvenient to carry it every time I go out. It doesn't make sense that Iron Man and Black Panther can carry a suit with a one-button addressing function, while the great Saint Seiya has to carry the Saint Cloth box everywhere. It would be better if this Saint Cloth could be smaller, so I can carry it in my pocket. As soon as Lazai had this idea, he saw the Magna garment shrinking rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a moment, it had become the size of a goblet. Chapter 45 The Future in a Cup. The shrunken cloth looks like a Renaissance work of art in his hand, and it is in excellent condition. If it is seen by those who like to collect, it will definitely arouse great interest. Lazai suddenly thought of a way to make money. When he meets Tony Stark again in the future, he will sell this cup to him at a high price, and then summon the cloth back at night with the small universe. Later, he can tell Mr. Zodiac that this cup is a set, and I have another one here. I wonder if you are interested. Selling a cup to him 12 times will definitely make a lot of money. In a cave in the mountains of Afghanistan, Tony Stark, who woke up from his injury, sneezed for no reason and almost tore the battery cable in his hand. The giant king cloth has the effect of restoring injuries and physical strength. Lazai, who is injured, will certainly not let it go. Picking up the cloth cup and preparing to go downstairs to fill it with water, Lazai suddenly stopped when he turned around. It seems like something is wrong. Lazai turned back in confusion. Everything in the attic was the same as before, except for a holy robe box, which was empty. Holy robe box? Lazai looked down. The holy robe box did not change. It was the same as before, a simple white bronze box. What's wrong? I really thought too much. Lazai shook his head and went downstairs to get some water. Clean pure water was poured into the holy robe cup. The ordinary water had changed because of the holy robe. From the perspective of the small universe, a mysterious force appeared in the cup of water, and the water slowly exuded an attractive smell. Lazai leaned in to take a closer look, wanting to study what the mystery of this cup was. When he stretched his head over the cup, a starlight suddenly appeared on the cup. The bright starlight made Lazai's eyes hurt. When he adapted to the light and opened his eyes, the starlight disappeared, leaving only a pool of clear and attractive water. Just now, Lazai suddenly remembered something. In Hades' mythology ND, when the Magna Cloth first appeared, it not only used its healing ability to save the lives of Dako, Shin, and the previous Pegasus bronze saint, Pegasus, and the three of them also saw their future appearances in the water of the Holy Grail. Dako saw the elderly version of Tiger Lord, Shin saw himself dressed as the Pope, and Pegasus saw Seiya sitting in a wheelchair and approaching his death. The Magna Cloth can foresee the future. So what's the matter with the bright starlight? Will my future become the brightest star in the night sky? Will I have to wait for the sun to rise, or will an accident come first? Lazai looked out the dark window and shrugged, then picked up the wine glass and drank it all. In his opinion, the best future is the one that cannot be understood. If the future is already clear, what's the point? Only the unknown is the most worth exploring and striving for. The healing effect of the Magna Cloth is indeed not a lie. When the water entered his stomach, Lazai clearly felt its effect. The pain in his body quickly weakened and finally disappeared, and the fatigue of his body was swept away. Lazai can responsibly say that in his current state, if there are 10 Gwens, he can make them all cry and call for daddy. Of course, if there are 10 Black Widows, it is not certain who will cry. After finally calming down his excitement, Lazai prepared to have a good sleep. Since he crossed over, he has not slept well. He was tortured to death by the holy suitcase every day. The next morning, Lazai was awakened by the urge to urinate. The tenacious little reminded him warmly that it might be time to do something a man should do. After cleaning up his personal hygiene, Lazai was ready to go out, and the phone rang. Pressing the answer button, the first sound from the other side was a whirring wind. Lazai raised his eyebrows and said to the phone helplessly, "Peter, are you swinging on the swing?" "Hi, good morning, Zion. How was it last night? Is your injury better?" Parker's voice came from the other side. mixed with the sound of the spider silk launcher. After comprehending the microcosm, Lazia's five senses were greatly amplified. Following the phone call, he could even analyze the battle situation on the scene from the screams and tires rubbing against the ground coming from the other side. A car that lost control was caught by spider silk, avoiding a tragedy. The driver was grateful and thanked excitedly. The situation over there seems to be very complicated. Do you need help? Lazia closed the door and headed towards the school. No need here. I can handle it, but for the school, I may have to trouble you to ask for leave for me. I will be late for a while, but not too late. Understood. Be careful. Lazia hung up the phone and took the subway to school. Parker went to the locker to do justice and did not wait here. There was an extra girl sitting against the wall. Gwen saw Lazia coming and smiled and greeted him. After Lazia greeted him, she walked towards the classroom. Gwen looked behind Lazia and asked curiously, "Don't you have to wait for Parker today? Why hasn't he come yet?" Lazia lowered her eyebrows. "She didn't wait for me here." Could it be that after being taken to the sky by Parker, she fell in love with someone else? Looking for Peter, he asked me to ask for leave for him. I thought you were waiting for me. Lazia walked towards the classroom without stopping. Gwen followed her and said with a playful look on her face, "Are you jealous?" Lazia rolled her eyes. "Sister, stop it. What do I have to be jealous of? There's really nothing between me and Parker. Equals. Gwen frowned. "Are you really stupid or just pretending to be stupid? My test scores have always been at the bottom of the class. What do you think? You seem very proud. Do I show it so obviously?" The two walked into the classroom and sat down in adjacent seats. "Honestly, you can consider Davidson College. Do you remember that friendly match? The one against Davidson College?" Gwen suggested seriously. "Their star player, Steven, is said to have entered the NBA through the draft this year, and his ranking is quite high." "Steven?" Lazia thought for a while. "Oh, you mean the cute god? He almost vomited because of the defense I and Thompson gave him that day. It's quite a sense of accomplishment to think about it. I'm optimistic that he will win the NBA championship in the future." "So," Gwen said excitedly, "if you can go to Davidson College, maybe you can be the next Steven." "Gwen," Lazia suddenly interrupted her. Gwen was stunned. "Huh? Wake up. What do you mean?" Lazia pointed at herself. "Do you think that with my ability, if I play in the NBA, does this sporting event still have meaning? I can play against 9 people plus 2 referees. But you always need a job and a source of income. You are an orphan and your family has no minds." Lazia curled her lips. "Don't worry. I know Tony Stark and I am going to make a deal with him. Once it is done, it will be a good deal with huge profits." "Thank you Shipanf, Shuangyi Mozang, Bushan Yeniu for the reward. Thank you all for your recommendation votes. Everyone is very generous. Thank you." Chapter 46, Cream Boy. Parker was late indeed, late for the entire class, but as an excellent student, Parker still had some privileges in the eyes of the teacher. Occasionally being late was nothing, as long as he didn't come late every day in the future. Parker couldn't guarantee this either. Parker came late after the first class. He didn't come alone. He was accompanied by a handsome boy with a greasy face and a shy face. "Let me introduce you. This is my childhood friend, Harry. I happened to meet him today. He had nothing to do, so he came with me to visit our school." Parker introduced several people. Harry was someone he met on the road after doing chivalrous deeds. Harry recognized Parker at a glance and drove him to school. "This is Lazia, my buddy. This is his girlfriend Gwen, and this is my girlfriend Jessica. Hello, I'm Harry Osborne. If I hadn't transferred to another school when I was a child, maybe we would be classmates now." The shy-faced Harry smiled and greeted everyone. It can be seen that he has a good upbringing and is a sunny person. He is a standard tall, handsome and rich template. Well, he is shorter than Lazia and Parker, so let's just assume he is tall, handsome and rich. After all, in the phrase tall, handsome and rich, rich is the key. Everyone smiled and greeted each other, only Gwen was not satisfied with Parker's introduction. "Hello Harry, my name is Gwen. To correct, I am not anyone's girlfriend." Harry raised his eyebrows. "So that means I still have a chance." Harry wanted to liven up the atmosphere, but he didn't expect that no one responded, but all looked at Lizzie on the side. Lizzie didn't seem to feel anything, but touched his chin and said, "Excuse me, do you have any relationship with Norman Osborn?" Harry smiled. "You guessed it, yes, Norman Osborn is my father." Lizzie clapped his hands. "Okay, come on, Brother Osborn, how about we talk about a business? I have a precious collection here, which was passed down from our ancestors, and now I am short of money. I wonder if you are interested." As he said that, Lizzie took out the Holy Grail. Harry reached out to take it, and his eyes lit up immediately. "This cup is in the style of the Renaissance. It is in great condition. If it is not a fake, it must be very valuable." Lizzie laughed slyly. "So, Brother Al, are you interested in taking it over?" Harry shook his head. "I'm afraid I can't help you with this. My authority is only $10,000. If it exceeds this, I have to ask my father for permission, and your thing is obviously worth more than that. I can't afford it." Lizzie shook his hand quickly. "It's okay, I'll wait for the money. $10,000 is fine." Harry still refused. "I can't take advantage of you. So, if you are waiting for the money, I will lend you some first. You can keep this collection for me first. How about I buy it from you when I have money?" Lizzie frowned and stopped selling. Is this Harry in front of him really the biological son of the big capitalist Norman Osborn? Why is there no arrogance and greed of the rich second generation? "You are so upright that I can't bear to cheat you." Is it really the only way to cheat Tony Stark? Thinking of Tony Stark still eating dirt in a cave in Afghanistan, Lizzie even thought of rescuing him. If she became his savior, it wouldn't be a big deal even if she stabbed him a few times. Judging from Harry's performance just now, he is a relatively innocent person, a sunny and cute boy. Thinking that he will be disfigured in the future and eventually become a ferocious and violent little green devil, Lizzie felt a little bit reluctant. All the changes in Harry are ultimately due to his family's inherited blood disease. He started to send troops before he was 20 years old, and finally became a ghost. I don't know if the water in the Holy Cloth Cup can relieve this disease. If the water in the Holy Cloth Cup can cure all diseases, wouldn't it be easy to make money? Well, let's observe it again. If Harry is really kind-hearted, then I'll help him. Harry over there didn't know what was going on at all. He put on a silly smile like Parker and talked happily with several people. Perhaps in the eyes of others, he is a rich second generation who was born with a golden key, young and rich, handsome. However, the real Harry, because his father did not die of illness, he did not know that he had a blood genetic disease, so in essence he was just a teenager who had lived in a boarding school since childhood, lacked fatherly love, and had no friends. The reunion with his childhood friend Parker touched the innocence in his heart. He once again had the friendship he had longed for, and tried to get to know more ordinary friends through Parker. However, for some reason, among Parker's friends, Harry's attitude towards Gwen was particularly enthusiastic, as if he really liked Gwen and wanted to pursue her. Lizzie watched coldly and did not comment on this matter. He had not responded to Gwen's advances before because he was afraid that his extraordinary power would lead her to a tragic fate. In the original Fate, the culprit of Gwen's death was Harry, but Spider-Man Parker, who was unable to save Gwen but pulled her into the battlefield, was also an accomplice in this matter. Lizzie did not dare to guarantee that he could do better than Parker when facing an enemy stronger than Harry. At the Rushman Francis law firm in New York, Black Widow, who goes by the alias Natalie Rushman, was working in her office. The door was pushed open, and Hawkeye Clint Barton walked in. "Lawyer Francis, are you out of the hospital?" Black Widow raised her head and greeted with a smile. Barton closed the door, walked over and sat down at the desk. "I'm fine now. How are the Lankoff brothers? Have they contacted you recently?" Black Widow nodded. "They have contacted me. They made a request that is related to you." "Tell me about it," Barton said curiously, folding his hands over his chest. "They want to retaliate against the Bennu bird fire that attacked their base. In order to be foolproof, they want to ask you for help, because that night, you almost completely suppressed that person by yourself." Barton spread his hands. "The situation is that I almost died there that night." "You saw it too." Black Widow nodded. "I understand all of this. but the Lankoff brothers said that this time they prepared a lot of heavy weapons, Stark Industries stuff, you know. Barton nodded knowingly. Not only do I know, the terrorists also know, otherwise the Playboy would not have disappeared. Black Widow shook her head. Let's not talk about Tony Stark's whereabouts for now. Since they can get the weapons of Stark Industries, it means that their combat effectiveness is not weak, so I think we can help them this time, because they said that after the matter is done, they can introduce us to their partners. Partners? Barton sat up straight. You mean the people behind them? It's a little late today. I hope everyone will support you. Thank you to everyone who voted and collected. Thank you. Chapter 47 My sister. After school in the afternoon, Lazai went to the orphanage. He didn't know how Grandma Joan's illness was, so he needed to visit her. In the orphanage, Lazai unexpectedly met Brother Zheng. Grandma's illness has not been cured. Brother Zheng came to treat Grandma. Clarice held Lazai's hand and explained. Thank you, Brother Zheng. Lazai clasped his fists and thanked him. Today, Brother Zheng brought a white and black tan suit, with a pair of 1,000-layer soles on his feet. It looked ancient and made Lazai unconsciously enter the state of a martial arts drama. Dala, don't be polite. I'm a doctor. This is what I should do. Brother Zheng smiled and waved his hand. Miss Joan has fallen asleep. Don't disturb her for now. After saying this, Brother Zheng put his silver needles for acupuncture into the medicine box, as well as some other tools. His style reminded Lazai of Huangfeng. In ancient China, martial artists paid attention to both medicine and martial arts. So many martial artists were doctors, because the real internal martial arts require strong medical knowledge as a guide. Moreover, martial arts are for strengthening the body, and medicine is for helping people. People who practice martial arts pay attention to martial virtues. Not bullying the weak is a virtue, and helping others is also a virtue. Brother Zheng's way of dealing with people has always given Lazai a very comfortable feeling. Now after seeing him treating Grandma Joan, this feeling has been elevated. If it were in a martial arts world, Brother Zheng would definitely become a master of his generation and be admired by people. Thanks to Brother Zheng, Grandma hasn't slept well for many days. Clarice chimed in. It seems that she has a very close relationship with this brother who came from her hometown. Brother Zheng smiled and touched Clarice's head. Thanks to Xiaobing, it's you who has been taking care of Grandma. Xiaobing? Lazai looked down at Clarice. Is this the nickname you gave yourself? Clarice pouted and said, Brother and Brother Zheng both have names with Chinese characters, so I want one too. From now on, my surname will be La and my name will be Le Bing. Lazai felt warmed. Although a 7-year-old child is still innocent, the children of the poor have to grow up early. All the children in the orphanage have strong and independent personalities. This is especially true for the youngest Clarice. Since she said that she would be named Le in the future, she really regarded Lazai as her own brother. Since ancient times, Chinese people have attached great importance to the inheritance of surnames, and sometimes they even value surnames more than blood ties. For Clarice, Lazai used to take care of her as a sister, and she had the idea of raising her up and keeping her for her own use. But when she changed her name, Lazai suddenly felt that this was really her sister. The unique bond between the Chinese people from the surname made their relationship closer. From this moment on, no matter who it is, even Lazai herself, if they do anything to let Le Bing down, it is unforgivable. Crouching down, Lazai hugged Le Bing and smiled like an idiot. Come on, call me brother. Le Bing frowned and didn't understand. Is his brother crazy today? Brother, hey, the same name as before. But Lazai's heart was about to melt. Call me again. Le Bing raised his head and looked at Brother Zheng helplessly. Brother Zheng, my brother's brain may be broken. Can you give him an injection? Brother Zheng smiled and shook his head. I'm afraid I can't help you, Xiaobing. Your brother's disease has penetrated into his bones. I'm afraid I can't do anything. Lazai stood up and touched his face randomly. Xiaobing, haven't you always wanted to go to the amusement park? I'll take you there, okay. Le Bing grabbed Lazai who was about to turn around and walk out. Brother, it's getting late. Let's go another day. We can go to the nightclubs when it's late. Lazai said that even the night can't stop my determination to take my sister out to have fun. I still have to take care of Grandma. Le Bing looked helpless. Or should I change my name back? This should make my brother return to normal. Yes, yes, take care of grandma. Lizia's IQ finally started to work. But don't get too tired. If there is any heavy work that you can't do, ask the brothers and sisters to do it. Also, Lizia squatted down and put his hands on Li Bing's shoulders. There is one thing you must remember. No matter what danger you encounter, don't be afraid. No matter where you are, I will save you, so never give up. Believe that your brother will definitely appear. Understand? This sentence is not Lizia's bragging. It is the ability of the Saint Seiya. Just like when Shillong was beaten half to death by Death Mask in the Cancer Palace, Chun-Li's voice praying to the dragon in Lushan, thousands of miles away, could be clearly transmitted to Shillong's mind. Even after Shillong was beaten to Huangquan Biliangpo, this voice still existed. So the microcosm can not only realize remote wireless communication between Saint Seiya, it can also receive the prayers of people who care about it. Once Li Bing really encounters any danger, as long as she silently prays in her heart that her brother will come back to save her, then no matter where Lizia is, she will hear her prayers through the microcosm. Li Bing smiled and nodded. I remember. Brother will never abandon me. Seeing that Li Bing agreed, Lizia stood up, took out the holy cup from his bag, filled a cup of water, and fed it to the sleeping Joan. In his sleep, Joan's frown gradually relaxed, and his breathing became more even. Zheng and Li Bing watched the process, and they were a little curious about the cup, but they didn't ask. As the night got darker, Lizia and Zheng walked out of the orphanage side by side. When they reached the intersection, Zheng suddenly spoke. Dala, you are also a martial artist, right? Yes. Lizia didn't hesitate, and simply nodded to admit that he had learned the Yukineron dance. So it was not wrong to say that he was a martial artist. Zheng's eyes lit up instantly. I wonder if you have time, Zio. We can learn from each other. Lizia smiled and looked at Brother Zheng. Of course, I've seen that you are a master before, Brother Zheng, and I've been wanting to ask you for a call. I don't deserve the call. Brother Zheng smiled and wiped his nose. I just feel itchy. I've been here for so long, and it always feels wrong to hit the wooden man alone. By the way, Brother Zheng, I don't know your full name yet. I neglected it. Let me formally introduce myself. I'm Zheng Shankai. Brother Zheng Shankai saluted. It was indeed Zheng Shankai, a superhero in the Marvel world based on Bruce Lee, who is good at traditional Chinese martial arts. I'm Lizia. Please give me more advice. Thank you. Book friend 150701200816312 for the 1000 reward. I'm so grateful. Thank you to every friend who voted for the recommendation and collected it. Thank you. Chapter 48, Making Friends Through Martial Arts. Lizia didn't know much about the hero Zheng Shankai, because before he traveled through time, no works with him as the protagonists were released, and even comic works were hard to find. All I know is that Zheng Shankai's hero name is Shankai, and he is a native Chinese. His father is the famous Fu Manchu, an evil Chinese image that has appeared in Western literary works since the beginning of the last century. Fu Manchu is known as the most evil person in the world. He is an Asian image who wears Qing Dynasty official clothes, has a braid head and two rat-tail-like beards, and looks sinister and fierce. He is the most vicious satire of the Chinese and Western literature. What's more ironic is that such an evil person gave birth to a decent superhero, before traveling through time. It was rumored on the internet that a Marvel movie with Shankai as the protagonist would be filmed. Lizia was looking forward to it, but unfortunately she didn't wait. I hope it won't be like Sister Lianhua's Tiger Shadow Man, which was dragged until Uncle Lee was gone and it was still just at the creative stage. But Lizia is still very happy to meet Shankai here. After all, this is a truly positive image of a Chinese hero, which is rare in American works. Lizia is not a martial arts fanatic. At most he is just a teenager who craves power, but since he has learned martial arts, it is also a blessing to be able to make friends with the strongest martial arts superhero in the world. Zheng Shankai is also not a reckless man who is simply obsessed with martial arts. His words are just to better get closer to Lizia, which is a way of making friends that he can think of for the time being. In addition to fighting, Zheng Shankai's strongest skill is to drink 1,000 cups without getting drunk. Lazai is only 17 years old, so of course he can't get close to her by drinking. The two hit it off, and the next step is to find a suitable place to fight. I went to the Lawang Chinese Medicine Hall where Zheng Shankai temporarily lived with him. The Chinese Medicine Hall is closed at night, and there are basically no people in the store, so there is no need to worry about disturbing others. There is a large backyard behind the Chinese Medicine Hall, which is a suitable place for fighting. In the corner of the backyard, there is a wooden man. It looks quite old. It must have been there for a long time. However, Lazai had never been to the backyard before and didn't know it existed. This belongs to my uncle. He would beat the wooden man in his spare time to practice his fists and feet. Zheng Shankai explained. Oh, so Uncle Wang can also practice boxing. I thought he was just an old Chinese doctor who specializes in bragging. Since ancient times, medicine and martial arts have been inseparable. It is reasonable for my uncle to know a few sets of boxing. After the two finished chatting, they stood on both sides. Zheng Shankai clasped his fists. Zheng Shankai, I learned martial arts from my family. I am good at boxing and kicking. I also practice swords, sticks and other weapons. Lazai followed suit and clasped his fists. Lazai, I learned from Master Tong Nu of Lashan. I am good at boxing and kicking. I have learned several weapons, but I am not proficient in them. Zheng Shankai naturally had never heard of the name of Master Tong Nu of Lashan, but China is so big that it is normal that he has never heard of it. He did not dwell on it. Then we will only compete with fists and feet today. Brother La, please. Brother Zheng, please. After the two finished talking, Lazai rushed towards Zheng Shankai. He was young, so he attacked first. Zheng Shankai wiped his nose and shook his head on the spot, spread his legs and stepped firmly into the horse stance. With his waist and horse united, Lazai's attack speed was very fast. Because he didn't know how strong Zheng Shankai was, he didn't go full speed at the beginning, but only used 1/3 of the speed. 1/3 of the speed of sound is also very scary. Dozens of punches can be thrown in 1 second. Ordinary people can't even see where the fists are. Such a fast punch was blocked by Zheng Shankai, and he kept smiling on his face, looking very relaxed. Lazai knew that he had met an opponent, and he no longer reserved his strength. His fists that broke the speed of sound hit Zheng Shankai at a speed of no less than 100 punches per second. Yukianer dance can not only be used for defense to avoid enemy attacks, but also for offense, and can always find tricky attack angles to make the enemy defenseless. Zheng Shankai took a deep breath. His expression became serious, and his blocking movements also sped up a lot. He blocked all the tricky attacks that reached the speed of sound. Lazai was a little confused. I am a Saint Seiya, and my attack speed has exceeded the speed of sound. You can block such a fast attack. Have you considered my feelings? Zheng Shankai was also terrified. He didn't expect that a child under the age of 20 could punch so hard. If he hadn't practiced Qi, he might not be able to block these attacks with his physical strength and speed alone. Moreover, Zheng Shankai clearly felt that the opponent was much stronger than him. The reason for his undefeated was that he used martial arts to intercept the opponent's moves in advance. According to past experience, he could quickly counterattack after intercepting the opponent, but Lazai's power was too great, and it was not completely without rules, which made him only passively defend and unable to counterattack. Lazai was also competing with Zheng Shankai, and from the beginning he had never considered cheating by using the power of the small universe. Speaking of making friends through martial arts, it was just a simple martial arts competition. If he went up and used his small universe to shatter Zheng Shankai's arm into atoms with one finger, that would be useless. Zheng Shankai was no exception. Fist and foot skills were only part of his ability. He had weapons and equipment that he had not used, and he did not want to use them. He would use his martial arts to convince the opponent and maintain his dignity as an older martial artist. The two of them fought for more than 10 minutes, and in the end, Lazai lost in terms of skills. Zheng Shankai kicked him 6 times in the air to break his defense. The last kick directly kicked him away and hit the window of the wing room next to him, smashing the window with a bang. Lazai broke through the window and fell into the wing room. He ate a mouthful of dirt. He didn't want to say it, but he had to admit that he did lose. Shang Kai, whose combat skill is 7 in the ability value, basically represents the highest level of martial arts fighting ability in the Marvel world. It is not unfair to lose to him in a pure skill battle even if Lazai is a Saint Seiya. "Allah, are you okay?" Zheng Shankai jumped in from the window and reached out to help Lazai up. Lazai stood up and waved his hands with a smile. "It's okay, it seems that I am not as skilled as others. Thanks to Brother Zheng for showing mercy." Zheng Shankai hurriedly said politely, "I am just slightly better in skills. I can see that you didn't try your best. Otherwise, I would have been the loser." Lazai looked around and asked curiously, "Brother Zheng, is this a warehouse? It seems that no one has lived here for a long time." Zheng Shankai shook his head. "I'm not sure either. The door has been locked all these days since I came here. It should be a warehouse for props." Zheng Shankai also looked around. There were several lion heads on the table next to him, and a long dragon was coiled against the wall. They should be props for opening a business or lion and dragon dances during festivals. "It's quite dirty here. Let's go out first." Lazai followed Zheng Shankai and climbed out of the window. Before leaving, he saw a flag hanging in the shadow of the wall with 2 crossed long swords, surrounded by a circle. P.S. According to the official ability value, Shankai's speed is 4'12 Mach. Thank you Liuzg for the reward. Thank you all for your recommendation votes and collections. Thank you. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49. Misfortunes never come singly. A week passed quietly, and Spider-Man began to become a social phenomenon. Throughout New York City, he would appear day and night. Many criminals had to make 2 plans when they were planning, one to deal with the police, and one to deal with Spider-Man who might fall from the sky. However, what surprised the police was that Mr. Mew, who was dressed in yellow and white, had never appeared in these incidents. Many police began to speculate on the motives of Mr. Mew's appearance and disappearance, including Sheriff George Stacy's office, which specially made a whiteboard to record all the characters involved in the cases, and in the middle of these characters, there were portraits of Spider-Man and Mr. Mew. Because no photos were taken, the portraits could only be used instead. Lazai didn't know this, and his mind was completely on Le Bing. After school every day, he would run to the orphanage to find Le Bing and urge her to practice the Yukai dance. If Le Bing's compatibility with the 2 powers of Senyuo Wangxian and Ziozu was not 0, Lazai would probably disregard the taboo of not teaching the plain natives golden fingers without authorization and teach her everything he has learned. After a few days, Lazai was surprised by the speed of Le Bing's progress. This was much better than Thompson's learning ability. Is it because Le Bing is a Chinese and has a passive hidden skill bonus that doubles her proficiency when learning martial arts? It seems that if there is a chance, I will take Le Bing to Zheng Shankai to become his apprentice. Lazai thinks that it will not be long before I have nothing to teach her. On weekends, Lazai took Le Bing to the amusement park. Grandma Joan's illness was quickly cured under the dual effects of Zheng Shankai's acupuncture and Lazai's giant holy cup, and Le Bing no longer needed to take care of her. The 2 sat on the bus, looking at the scenery outside the window and laughing. The car was driving when it suddenly stopped. The driver slammed the steering wheel angrily. The road ahead was blocked. It was estimated that the traffic jam was at least 1 kilometer long. Everyone in the car began to ask what happened. After a long time, someone with great power finally got the news. A military vehicle collided with a private car. The car seemed to be loaded with some chemical agent. The police have blocked several nearby streets to prevent the chemical agent from infecting passing vehicles and pedestrians. It is estimated that the road ahead will not be cleared for a while. When the people in the car heard it, they were instantly furious, but the driver had no choice but to open the door and let the passengers get off. Lazai didn't expect that she would encounter a classic Marvel plot of a chemical agent vehicle accident when she went out to play. Maybe another superhero will be born. Daredevil DD is an example. At this moment, the phone rang. Lazai took out her phone and saw that it was Parker. "Hi, Peter, what's up?" Parker's sunny voice came from the other side. "Hi, Zyan, what are you busy with?" "I'm in Dr. Connor's laboratory. He has already chosen the new laboratory address and will prepare for the experiment in a while. Do you want to come over for a visit?" "Oh, I won't go. I'm taking Xiaobing to the playground. I promised her a long time ago." Zaya declined. "Is that so? I wish you all a good time. By the way, Jessica and the others seem to be there too. Maybe you can run into her." The playground is so big, it's hard to say. Haha, I won't tell you anymore. I'm debugging the equipment here. I'm going to go and get busy first. After hanging up the phone, Zaya bent down and hugged Lebing in his arms. "Hold me tight." After that, he ran forward along the sidewalk. Because there were many pedestrians around, he was afraid of attracting too much attention, so he ran only a little faster than Bolt. It is about 10 kilometers from here to the amusement park. It may take more than half an hour to take the bus, but it will take less than 2 hours to walk. After running for a while, I saw the police cordoning off the road ahead. A military vehicle was parked in the middle of the road with a private car stuck on its butt. The glass of the private car was broken and the ground was covered with blood. The people in the car had been taken away by the ambulance. According to the onlookers, there were 4 people in the car, and it was estimated that they were dead. Because he was with Lebing, although Lazai had some ominous premonitions in his heart, he did not stop, but continued to run to the amusement park. 20 minutes later, they arrived at the gate of the amusement park. After running for more than 20 minutes, Lazai's face was still normal, and his breathing was not short of breath. It was no different from walking 100 meters. Lebing did not feel strange about this. In her heart, her brother had long been an omnipotent Superman. In the amusement park, Lebing had a lot of fun, and her laughter was louder than the screams of the people next to her. Lazaya also shouted like a fool, even though these projects were not exciting at all for him. Even if the roller coaster derailed, he could still bring Lebing to the ground safely. After playing until the afternoon, Lebing finally stopped because she was tired. She had never been to an amusement park before and felt that her life was complete. When the two were about to leave the amusement park, Parker called again. "Zion, something happened." Parker's first sentence made Lazaya's heart skip a beat. Before he could ask, Parker said hurriedly, "Jessica and her friends had an accident on the way to the amusement park this morning. She is now in the ICU of the hospital. I don't know how she is. We are rushing over." Jessica had a car accident. Lazaya finally knew what the ominous premonition was before. Jessica Campbell's fate was activated. Lazaya thought that she would be in a different trajectory of fate after she fell in love with Parker and made a friend like him, a Saint Seiya. But unexpectedly, what was coming still came. "I'll be there right away." After Lazai hung up the phone, he punched the wall next to him. The reinforced concrete wall instantly cracked into spiderweb-like cracks. He had a chance to stop all of this from happening. "Sir," the staff of the amusement park next to him came over and said, "You have damaged public property without reason. We have the right to demand compensation from you. Please cooperate with our work." Behind him, several security guards were waiting in a serious battle array. In the distance, someone seemed to be holding a phone ready to call the police at any time. Lazaya glanced at the spider webs on the wall and knew that he was caught red-handed. There was no way to deny it. The only thing he could do was to compensate, so he did not refuse. "Okay, how much do you want to compensate?" Lazaya sighed. It seemed that he had to go to the wrestling league again. "I wonder if the boss there still recognizes me." Seeing that Lazaya was very polite, the staff relaxed and several people began to verify the specific amount of compensation. Lazai was going to take Lebing to eat something first. He originally wanted to go to the orphanage immediately, but it seemed that it would take some time. He lowered his head and Lebing, who had been following him, disappeared. "Thank you all for your encouragement." "Thank you." Chapter 50, Anxious. The adults took the children out to play, but ended up losing the children. This shocking thing that had appeared in the news countless times in the previous life, unexpectedly happened to him. Lebing, Clarice. Lazaya looked around and shouted loudly, but he couldn't find Lebing at all, and he couldn't sense her existence even with his small universe. Lazaya was panicked. If he really lost Lebing, He would never forgive himself for his whole life, so he had to find her quickly. The staff over there were still wondering if the cracks in the wall were related to the long-term disrepair of the amusement park, and didn't notice the abnormality here. "Wait a minute, sir." The security guard who had been watching Lazia vigilantly stepped forward and stopped him with the electric baton on his waist. "Please don't leave without permission before the results come out. I'm going to take your balls." Lazia stepped forward and grabbed the security guard's collar, lifting his nearly 200-pound body into the air. "I'm asking you, there was a little girl next to me just now. Did you see where she went?" The security guard's feet left the ground, and he was a little flustered for a moment. He pulled out his electric baton and poked Lazia's waist, but he didn't expect that his hand was empty, and the electric baton disappeared in the blink of an eye. Lazia swung his hand, and the electric baton was thrown to the side with a whoosh and stuck straight into the wall, leaving only the handle outside. The two staff members who were checking the wall tacitly clamped their farts back and quietly moved half a meter to the side. Lazia held the security guard with one hand, turned his head and looked at the people around him fiercely, who saw where the little girl next to me just now went. Did anyone see it? The air temperature around him soared, and the security guard felt like he was stuck on the stove, and his whole body was about to melt. Lazia was so anxious that he couldn't suppress his anger, and his body began to show signs of fire. The people around seemed to sense the danger and hid back, but no one came out to provide clues. Several security guards carefully surrounded the area with electric batons, and people in the distance had already called the police. "There is surveillance." The security guard on the hand squeezed out a few words from his throat with difficulty. "Take me there." Lazia loosened the strength of his hand. In the locked monitoring room, the security guard called up the surveillance video just now. When Lazia was calling, Labing had been following him, but later when he was listening to the phone and walked to the wall, Labing bent down to tie her shoelaces. At this time, a man wearing a hood and mask who had been wandering nearby for a long time came forward and covered Labing's mouth with a cloth, and then carried her into the bushes next to him. The whole crime process took no more than 3 seconds. The man was obviously an old hand, and his movements were so fast that the people next to him had no time to react. Later, in other videos, this person got into a van with a large cardboard box. "It's another damn human trafficker." Lazia stood up with a folding stool and chopped the security guard's neck with a knife. "Why are you chopping me?" The security guard rolled his eyes and fell down. Outside the door, a dozen security guards were waiting in full battle array, half of them holding guns, with the muzzles of their guns pointed at the door of the monitoring room. As soon as Lazia showed his head, he would be in their crosshairs. Lazia was not afraid of these dozen people and several guns, but he didn't want to waste time with them. Bang! The folding stool was thrown against the window, and a hole was directly broken into 2 layers of tempered glass and 1 layer of aluminum alloy guardrail. Lazia dodged and stepped on the window frame, and jumped more than 10 meters high, directly jumping onto the roof of a building next to it, and then drove at full speed, chasing the car in the direction it left. The speed of running on the roof must be faster than the car on the road below. With a general direction, Lazia believed that he should be able to catch up with the car. It has been about 10 minutes since Labing disappeared, and the car should not have run far, but things did not go as planned. This time they were not looking for Gwen. The main road only had one direction, and here was in a city with many connections. Lazia chased for more than 10 minutes and turned around all the possible roads around, but naturally did not find the car. There was no choice but to call Parker. "Zion, have you arrived?" "No. Something happened here. Zodiac was kidnapped. I didn't catch up with the car. Please contact Hyde from last time and ask him to help me check the surveillance. I will send you the license plate number." While Parker went to contact the hacker, Lazia was not idle. He continued to expand the search range, trying not to miss any corner, but still couldn't find the car. My heart began to sink to the bottom of the valley. Now I can only pin my hopes on Hyde. 10 minutes later, Parker sent a message that the car entered a garage and never came out. Lazia hurried to the underground garage and found the car, but it was empty. The underground garage was very old and there was no surveillance camera installed at all. "It's over." At this point, The clues are completely broken. Hyde has also checked the information of this car. The owner just reported the car stolen 2 days ago. It is obviously impossible to find the perpetrators through this. The anti-tracking ability of human traffickers in the United States is too strong. Standing in the underground garage, Zodiac really wanted to smash the car in front of him into a discus, but doing so would not help. Coming out of the garage, Zodiac climbed to the rooftop of a building several dozen meters high, sat cross-legged on the edge of the rooftop, and closed his eyes. For now, he can only look forward to Lo Bing's prayer. The power of the microcosm has been released, but Lo Bing does not have a microcosm, so Zodiac cannot contact her directly. Only when she prays devoutly will her faith be received by the microcosm, and Zodiac can also determine Lo Bing's location through the microcosm. This sitting lasted for more than 2 hours, until night fell and Parker arrived. Zodiac suddenly opened his eyes. Just at that moment, he heard a voice. "Brother, where are you?" Lo Bing is so scared. "Brother, didn't you say you would come to save me? These people are so fierce. Brother, come and save me." "Brother." A burst of red flames rose, and a black coat quickly covered Zodiac's body. A pair of black wings spread out from behind, startling Parker next to him. "So cool." Parker couldn't help but praise. "I already know the location. You go back first. Spider-Man is not suitable to show up tonight." Zodiac flapped his wings and slowly rose into the air. "We don't know what's going on over there yet. I can help." Before Parker finished speaking, he heard a ball of white mist explode in the air. When a huge sonic boom sounded in his ears, Zodiac had already turned into a black streamer and disappeared into the sky. "Do you want to be so exaggerated?" Although Zodiac said it was not suitable, Parker still fired the spider silk and chased in the direction of Zodiac. "Thank you, Deacon Book Friend 20170213174339425 for the reward." "Thank you, new friend, the unlucky guy whose premium membership number was stolen for the reward." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.